Tonight is the night. After 6 races in the 2023 Drivers' Gauntlet, we are ready to crown a champion. Welcome to round 7, the final race of the series, and you're about to watch all of the action right here on Maconi Entertainment. We take the final step on the ladder and jump into the next-gen cars at the top of the pedestal of NASCAR, 500 miles at Daytona. This entire series has produced some incredible racing, as well as plenty of mayhem. Tonight is the final stop. We end it here once and for all after 200 laps around the high banks. The 2023 Drivers' Gauntlet is a 7-week series designed to emulate the progression of a driver from the beginning ranks of the Legends cars all the way up the ladder system and into the next gens. My name is Joey Atterbury, and joining me in the booth is Will Tiller. Our producer tonight is Ryan Bauer, and the cameras being used have been provided by Dougie Beard. Race control for this event is Brandon Davis, and he's keeping an eye on all of the action on the racetrack. And Will, we are here at Daytona, a place that shouldn't need any introduction, but tell us a little bit more about this amazing venue.
Oh, it is amazing indeed. It is always a showcase event here at Daytona. It is a racetrack near and dear to my heart personally, but here tonight it is 2.5 miles in Daytona Beach, Florida. Opened in 1959 with that road course added in 1966. And 31 degree of banking in the corners, up to 18 degrees in that tri-oval. Here tonight, Joey, you're gonna have 167,000 spectators watching this season finale here tonight. Now remember also, Joey, there used to be backstretch stands as well the last time I went to the Daytona 500. Here tonight, Joey, we're in for quite a treat. These drivers have been racing through the ranks, ready here tonight to showcase what they can do in those next-gen race cars.
Now, we mentioned it, this is the last stop of the 2023 Drivers' Gauntlet. There's 12 drivers that are technically eligible, but we're going to keep an eye on the top 3, and here they are.
I'm Joey Misevich, driver of the number 64 Maconi Setup Shop Ford Mustang, and I'm going to be your 2023 Ultimate Driver.
I'm Jeff Maconi, driver of the Maconi Setup Shop Mach 03 Chevrolet, and I'm going to be your 2023 Ultimate Driver.
I'm Brandon Evans, driver of the number 39 Maconi Setup Shop Chevrolet, and I'm going to be your 2023 Ultimate Driver.
Those are the 3 top players in the points today, and only about 12 points separates those top 3. And today we're going to be doing 500 miles at Daytona, or better known as 200 laps in the NASCAR Next Gen Cup cars. No fast repairs, and that's an interesting one. We'll get to it, because if they pick up any damage, they're going to have to come down and get that fixed. 3 green-white checkered attempts and a custom fixed setup by Maconi Setup Shop. So these cars will be hooked up out there on the racetrack. And Will, I wanted to get to that little point about the damage, because I'm looking here and I think we've got about 20 cars or so, and real fast, you don't want to burn up any damage that you're going to get early on here in this race.
No, not at all here. Definitely at Daytona, a racetrack you know is going to go 3 wide. These drivers are going to get antsy here, Joey. Only 200 laps, so it's going to be a short run here tonight. These drivers in the next-gen race car are going to have to deal with that side draft, so watch out for that here tonight, how these drivers basically battle through that tug-of-war.
And right now what's happening on the racetrack is just a brief warm-up, but the drivers have completed qualifying, and this is going to be the starting grid of the Daytona event here in the 2023 Drivers' Gauntlet. It's going to be Brandon Evans, the 3rd place points championship sitter. They're going to be leading us off on the pole position. Chris Wilhite there in 2nd place. Mark McNutt rolling off in the 2nd row, 3rd. Dakota Bruff there, 4th place. Jordan Person. Guillaume Hainaut in the 6th place. 7th, Carson Lucas. Garrett Crow, 8th. Perry Vance and Kyle Wisner rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, picking up in the 11th position, we have Jason Hurdle in the 11th. 12th, we have Joey Misevich in the 64 machine, comes in as our points leader. 13th here tonight, Brian Cinnamon in that 28. 14th, Jeff Maconi, currently second in that point standings in that 03 machine. 15th is Jason Allen in that 71. Jacob Reeves rolls off 16th here tonight in that 57. 17th is Eric Newman in that 21. 18th is going to be Tanner Marr in that 4. 19th position here tonight, Eric Sellers in that 97. Kevin Carlisle will roll off 20th in that 72. And rounding out tonight's starting grid is Samuel Lawson in that 12.
Yeah, Samuel Lawson in the number 12, rounding out the 21 cars here. And here's the weather as everybody rolls off of pit lane. 71 degrees in Daytona, track temp 92 with the 10-mile-an-hour wind out there. That's something that shouldn't play into any havoc out on the racetrack at all, Will. But I'm checking out, looks like this is an afternoon session, so we'll just have to keep an eye on the track temperature, because I guess if that starts to swing either direction, things could start to get slippery out there. But this is the time that we call out that magic crystal ball of yours, Will. We got 200 laps at Daytona that we are about to do. Are we going to see a bunch of green flag running right off of the bat? Are we going to see these competitors play nice? Are we going to get some bumping, shoving, and banging right off of the bat?
That's exactly what I think we're going to see there, Joey. A lot of banging, as you say here tonight. I think maybe at the end of this race, we'll possibly have, with a 21 grid field here tonight, we're going to have possibly 10 or 11 cars left on the racetrack, I do believe, with no fast repairs here tonight. So watch out. It's going to be a race of nutrition to see which driver can survive all of this chaos we're going to see here tonight.
Well, I hope that it's not too much chaos early on. I hope that crystal ball of yours is giving us a few fits and
a little foggy.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, could just have a little bit of fog in there. And but either way, pace car is pulling off a pit road right now. Get the shot of Jeff Maconi as he patiently waits back there. But the field is in the hand of Brandon Evans. Gets on the gas in the number 39 car, and we do have green flag here at Daytona International Speedway for the final round of this driver's gauntlet on Maconi Entertainment.
Yeah, pretty clean right now off of 2, heading towards that backstretch right now. That inside lane's carrying the momentum off of the corner. Top side has no friends, though. Right now, only about 4 cars on that top side, Joey, as we're clean right now and comfortable down to 3.
Yeah, and I think that here, while these cars get up to speed, Will, we're going to see a little bit of some different strategies, I guess you will, on the racetrack. And I'm not talking about the pit strategies, but talking about the drafting strategies that we're seeing, because right now it's Brandon Evans being pushed by Chris Willite around to complete the first lap, and that's really kind of a tandem 2-car draft. And I wonder if we're going to see that prevail tonight with this setup, or if we're going to see more 2-wide racing with the kind of the draft trains that we see in real life.
Yeah, as we have 1 lap in the books here tonight of 200 here tonight in the season finale of the 2023 Drivers Gauntlet. I think, Joey, you just mentioned it right on the nose there. With these next-gen race cars, that's something these drivers haven't had to deal with all, coming up through the ranks, so to say. The aero package. The aero package on these next-gen race cars, even for pro real-life drivers, is difficult to deal with. Let's see how these drivers here tonight are going to deal with that side draft I spoke about a little bit earlier. I think that's the most difficult aspect of these next gens as we're digging down into corner number 1, is that tug of war. If you get next to somebody, Joe, you're going to start to feel that car start to bobble underneath you.
And that's a great point. When you're doing, I'm checking this out, 195 miles an hour through turns 2 and then really accelerating down the straightaway, the air does plenty of funny stuff. You're pushing essentially just over 200 miles an hour. I'm checking this 201 a little bit further back in that pack. And so these are big square boxes being pushed through the air, and they make a giant wake. And Will, you're right, you can definitely take advantage of the side draft by pushing air onto your competitor's spoiler, if you will, and just kind of dumping extra downforce on them, which kind of theoretically it slows them down. It doesn't necessarily speed you up, but it definitely slows them down a little bit as we see, I believe that was Guillaume Hainaut, chop down right in front of Jordan Person, just barely get clear, but it's been the front three of Brandon Evans, Chris Willite, and Mark McNutt as these competitors are kind of starting to get their sea legs underneath them, just doing lap 4 of 200 right now.
Oh, for sure. They are just rowing their way down into 4 right now. A 4-car tandem, though. There, Joey, you saw a 3-car separation for just a minute. Now the entire field has caught up to single file lane, about 8 cars all the way down. We just saw a car kind of peel out of lane there. A little hard to see who that is there, Joey. Down into 1 single file on the low side. Whoever that is, they're on Revis Island all by themselves. This is Dakota Bruff up here in this 52 machine. Now he's going to start seeing those cars on his inside pass him as he's off of 2 down the backstretch.
And kind of the name of the game here at Daytona is you got to have friends out there on the racetrack. And if you don't get hooked up with friends, it can be a lonely race. And so this is kind of the line that I was talking about, the train, if you will. And it looks like these competitors are quite satisfied right now, Will, to just kind of ride single file. I think click off some laps, click off some miles. They realize that if they get into trouble early, they don't have any faster pairs to save themselves, and they don't want to eliminate themselves before the night really even gets going.
No, and I think, Joey, here 200 laps into this race as we come off of 2. I think you want to try to pace out this race. I think that'd be my opinion. Maybe look at a 50-lap window. You get to 50, see how your car is doing, see how you're feeling. You see how these runs are treating you, which lines treating you pretty good, and then look at the next 50. That'll put you at lap 100. That's halfway through this race, Joey. So I think right now here, even though we don't have stage races, maybe these drivers secretly are starting to time things out here, maybe different lap windows.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're just going to have to kind of wait and see it all play out. And I mentioned the different strategies. It looks like we've got a pack of 11 cars right now, from Brandon Evans, our leader, all the way back to Dakota Bruff in 11th spot. And then in 12th place position, we have Jason Allen picking up all the way back to what looks like Carson Lucas and Samuel Lawson. Now, these are 2 different packs. Now, what we see in speedway racing is a pack separate themselves from the front that says, hey, you know what, we actually want to just stay in our own lane. We don't want to be in any trouble, and if something happens up front, we have the time to slow down, hit the brakes, and avoid the wreck. However, if this thing stays green for a long time, they can find themselves out in no man's land. But, Will, I don't think we're anywhere near that point, and they're only a couple seconds back from this main pack.
No, and I think we just saw a little while ago, too, there, Joe. We had that 3-car separation. I was just about to speak about how those 3 cars were separating from the rest of the pack. And then just off of 4, you see what that aerodynamic does in these next gens. If you can just catch that draft coming off the car in front of you, you can reel them in pretty quick. And that's exactly what we saw. We saw a car, or a line of about 3 cars build to about a line of about 9 or 10 cars there, Joey, in a matter of seconds. So watch out for that here tonight. But a lot of low side driving. Watch as these cars start to get a little bit of wear on them. Start to see some of these drivers drift to that top side around the racetrack here early on.
And you're right, there was kind of that 3-car breakaway for a little bit, but from what I've seen the most, it looks like Chris Willite in the number 7 car has really been able to push Brandon Evans pretty aggressively out front. As right on board here, this is Brian Zimmerman in the middle of that second pack here. He's in 16th place, and kind of see just got to stay in the line here in the draft. But to go back up to the front here, this is what I'm talking about. The number 7 car is probably the most aggressive on the racetrack, and he's actually pushing our leader, Brandon Evans. Now, I don't see Brandon Evans being shaken by this at all. He seems very stable. He seems totally okay with it. However, got to remember, Brandon Evans sitting 3rd place coming in here into the points championship. He's got a lot that's riding on all of these bumps that might add up, especially once the tires start to get a little bit of wear on them.
Yeah, Joey, to be honest with you, we are all trying to bust out our calculators up here in the Maconi Entertainment broadcast booth. You, me, and our producer up here trying to figure out the math, trying to figure out different scenarios, who would be champion, who would be crowned here at the end of tonight. Hey, and Joey, what we all basically figured out there after we called Matt Damon to draw out an equation on the chalkboard for us there, we figured out that basically every driver here tonight basically has to win. That's what you have to do. You have to win and then watch as the chips fall to see what math plays out for you. If you don't win, that basically eliminates you from having any chance here tonight.
Yeah, and you're right. With only a 20-car field out here, you got to be pretty far up the order in order for the other people to have a pretty bad day to make up the difference. But really, the top three, Joey Masevich comes in here at about 298 points. Jeff Maconi comes in here at about 292 points. Only 6 points separating the top two. And for reference, that's only about a 2-place position difference on the racetrack. And then you got Brandon Evans, who's our current leader. He comes in about 18 points back at 279 points. So Timor has to win this race, and somebody like Joey Masevich or Jeffrey Maconi has to finish more outside of the top 5, or really more outside of the top 10 to guarantee anything from Brandon Evans or anyone further down the list. I'm looking Guillaume Hainaut has technically a shot at it. Dakota Brook also has a shot at it. Realistically, like you said, the top 12. Carson Lucas, Jacob Reeves, Jason Hurdle, Mark McNutt, Josh Cottle, who I don't see here tonight, surprisingly. Nope. Kyle Wisner and Jacob Herberts. Technically, all 12 of these guys theoretically have a shot at this.
Yeah, theoretically, everybody in tonight's field does. The top 12 in those points, as you were just mentioning there, Joey, but right now it's a single file lane all the way down into the corner. This is a single file lane being led by Evans in that 39 machine. 13 laps into this race right now, going down this beautiful backstretch here, Joey, and I talked about there used to be grandstands back here. I went to the 2016 Daytona 500. I think that was the last race they had grandstands back here.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what they called it. I think it was like the Budweiser backstretch or something like that. And you're right, they did have a big grandstand section. And I don't know, when you were there, was it busy at all? Was it packed back there?
It was absolutely packed, and I remember it was my first time ever going after my grandfather had won here in 1990. I remember seeing Joey Logano take the field off of 4. I think that was a cool shot, watching it from the backstretch instead of the front stretch or a corner. It was pretty cool, and then all of a sudden I learned that was the last race ever to have those stands back there. It was like, oh, first and last, pretty much.
Yeah, well, even with those grandstands gone, I will say that the new Daytona Rising project, I forget what it ended up being called, but basically the whole facelift of Daytona International Speedway out front has been done. It's been unveiled now for a couple of years, and if you guys have ever wondered about actually going to Daytona for a race, whether it be for the 500, whether it be for the Rolex 24, whether it be for Biker Week down there in February, I highly suggest it because it's a great time, and there's no other stadium really in the world that's like that. You could argue Indianapolis, but the high banks here at Daytona, 31 degrees, it really is unlike anything else. When you see it, you'll understand why.
Absolutely. I think one of the most beautiful racetracks or beautiful venues across America, across the world, Daytona International Speedway right here. And Joey, I've always wanted to go to maybe a sports class race here. Maybe the I can't remember if it's the 12 hours at Daytona, the 16 hours at Daytona.
Rolex 24.
There we go. I was on the right path. I was getting there, but the Rolex 24, I always thought that would be a very cool race to attend. But back to the action here tonight as we're down in the corner once again. Evans just still leading that inside lane here, Joey. So then this backstretch once again, very focused as we're going to check on his in-car camera point of view. You see what this race means to him here tonight.
Now, I've seen this a few times out of Brandon Evans. We're seeing that onboard, like you mentioned, and it's amusing to me because his headphones are never on, but he's always got them around the neck with the microphone up to his mouth. So he must have some speakers and then be talking to his either his Discord group, you know, his crew chief, or maybe his Twitch followers out there if he's streaming it. But always amused me, Will, that had the headphones on but never was actually wearing them.
hey, whatever he's doing, it's working out for him here tonight. Pretty stuck on the top of the grid. And Joey, that paint scheme here tonight, that's an iRacing paint scheme. Did he not have a paint scheme? Or what do you think that is on the next gen race car here tonight?
Well, I know that having a couple little finicky issues that we're just trying to sort out here, but it should be all fixed now on the screen. But yeah, looks like a few amusing paint schemes that we're seeing.
I kind of like it though. I kind of like it, Joey. It's minimalistic to me. You get that race car, you roll it on the racetrack, you tell the fans, you tell your other drivers, you don't really need a paint scheme. You didn't focus on that at all here tonight. As you can tell, he was focused on winning the race so far tonight, 18 laps into this race. Evan said, I don't need a paint scheme to run fast. I can just do it all by myself. He's doing that so far here tonight, Joe.
Well, and not only that, you know, I gotta say that just the single iRacing dude on the front, right, kind of reminds me of the Cougar. The Ricky Bobby, you know, it's all about me up there, you know, it's just me on the hood. And yeah, maybe that's the Brandon Evans motivation out front. What do you think? Maybe if we got some followers, maybe they can pitch in, kind of give that theme a name for us, maybe.
Yeah, somebody out there and watching along with us here on Maconi Entertainment. I kind of like it, like you said there. It's that me paint scheme.
It is.
Hey, he could put that iRacing car in victory lane here tonight. No better way to get yourself noticed by winning in an iRacing paint scheme. You have to tag yourself somewhere, tag iRacing to say, hey, I just won this race, possibly even the championship in this paint scheme here tonight, as we're not seeing many battles for position on the racetrack. Round 4 right now, still a single file lane as we're going to cross this line just in a second. We're going to cross along that front stretch, make it 20 down to 1.
Yeah, and this is kind of what I was expecting out of the speedway racing. And one thing we're going to have to watch out for, Will, is everybody's calm right now, right? They're going to get complacent. They're going to get used to where they're drafting in a line. And this is going to go on for about 35 laps or so until we're going to have to hit those green flag pit stops. Now, what the green flag pit stop is going to do, going to introduce a variable. People are going to have to come down to pit road. They're going to have to get hard on the brakes. They're going to have to hit pit lane speed. They're going to have to stop in the box. And not only that, they're going to have to get back going out onto the racetrack with a drafting group to get back up to speed. And that, I think, is when we might see a yellow flag or the pack start to separate out just a little bit.
Yeah, and you're also starting to see all these teammates link up with one another. We can tell by the paint schemes on the racetrack. And enjoy a huge separation right here. This is the separation we're seeing from about 11th to 12th, about a 3-second gap. You just allude this to speedway racing, or is this second pack just losing the speed?
I definitely think it's speedway racing, Will. I mentioned it. What this second pack is doing, you see them how they're separated out a little bit further spaced from each other, and they're giving each other more room. So if the first pack gets a little bit crazy, it's a little bit too pushy-shovey, and they have a wreck. They have the time to slow down, and here's actually Dakota Bruff, who is not a lap down in 11th place, just lost contact with that front pack. And thankfully, Will, this second pack is here, and Dakota should be able to pick up the draft once again and kind of tuck back in here on the back of this pack, which I think is Carson Lucas, the number 10 car.
Yeah, definitely not what Dakota Bruff wanted here tonight. That 52 machine now finds himself at the very tail end of this pack. On the backstretch here, 22 laps into the season finale of the 2023 Drivers Gauntlet. Joey, we raced through about every class of, you could call it an American style or a NASCAR style race car that you can. What are some of your highlights or some of your things that you've stood out so far, or you can look back on in this Drivers Gauntlet?
I really enjoyed all the different variety of machinery. I think we've seen a lot of different types of drivers come up through the different types of cars as well. You know, we saw Josh Cottle really dominate there in the late models cars and into the ARCA cars, call it the tube frame cars, you know, and seeing Masevich and Maconi really come to shine here in the Xfinity and Cup cars here at Daytona. And I just kind of like the different variety that we've seen on the racetrack. And I think that one thing that's cool about these race cars is kind of the new technology in them. They got all the cool new digital dashboards. They got the cool sounds. And speaking of the sounds, Will, I think we're going to go ahead right on board here for a lap or two.
Oh, I love it.
Go ahead, crank up that volume at home and
Crank it up.
hop around to a few different cars. I love the sound of those race cars, Will, and not only the sound of the race cars, but the sound of 200 plus miles an hour, 203 to be exact, from Brandon Evans going into turn 3 this lap.
Oh, yes, sir, indeed. I actually stepped outside of the booth so I could hear those race cars myself, Joey. Beautiful sound. These beautiful next-gen cars here at Daytona International Speedway. As Evans still leading the way in that 39 machine. No movers, no shakers so far here early on.
Yeah, seeing a few cars back here, a little bit more rough in trying to team up. I shouldn't say team up, but stay in line of the draft train. And I mentioned kind of the point of the second lane is to hang back and not be aggressive. And Dakota Bruff back here in the 19th spot is just trying to stay patient, but tell you what, they're also trying to work forward, and it also looks like those are 3 team cars working together. I believe that's Jason Allen, Kevin Carlisle, and Eric Newman out there on the racetrack. They're all painted the same, and Will, I would assume their teammates out there are probably all on the same radio channel working together in this little trio of a draft train.
I mean, you look good, you feel good, you play good. Teammates out here looking like the crew representing out here, looking like the Jabberwockies out there. A little early 2000s reference there for you there, Joey. As they're all rocking the same paint scheme here tonight. See if they can finish 1, 2, 3 on that grid. But putting some work right now. You see this this trio, if you will, right outside the top 10 with Allen at 71 in 11th position.
And I know that usually the point of the second pack is to be a little bit more calm, but these 3 are pushing pretty aggressively right now for what is that 11th place position. And I just have to give a little warning out there that when you push that middle car and you're already linked up with the front one, bad things can definitely happen. So you just have to be careful of what you're doing a little bit further back. And here's the number 7, Chris Willite, continuing to just push our leader, Brandon Evans, way out front. And now, Will, I don't know the exact math here. I believe it's around lap 35. You can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe it's around lap 35 is the green flag fuel run that the cars can do here at Daytona.
Yeah, we're probably looking around that window of around 35 to 40 laps right now. We'll see Joey, I like to say, every broadcast or every race that I like to say, it's a wave of pit stops. You're going to see wave 1, wave 2, wave 3. You tend to see those leaders in wave 2, wave 1. Those tend to be guys probably tail end of the pack, maybe a little damage on their cars, maybe just trouble finding the speed. Wave 2 will have those leaders. Wave 3, maybe guys trying to gamble a little bit, pushing the limits, if you will, in those stages. But right now, Joey, we're going to go cruising past pit road as we make it 31 down to corner number 1.
Yeah, I'm looking at these speeds, 195 miles an hour through the tri-oval, and by the time they get to turn 1, 199 miles an hour from our leader, pushing all of that air out of the way, making room for what is 10 Cup cars behind him and a whole lot of horsepower here in this train, riding on board with Jeffrey Maconi here in this Maconi Setup Shop number 03 car. And I love Jeff's rig. Now, Jeff's rig is somewhat new. I would say probably the last handful of months, and it is a huge upgrade over what he used to have. And I actually think that Jeff is driving better with this new rig, and it's been showing here in the Gauntlet. He's had some really good finishes, especially in the last few races.
Yeah, I gotta say, I'm pretty blown away by the boss, man. Jeffrey Maconi's setup. Joey, I have a set of pedals. I have a wheel. I feel pretty good about my new mic setup here, but I cannot get to the level of Jeffrey Maconi right there. And Joey, as you mentioned, has been paying off for him here lately. Great runs for the boss man. A little off-air secret as well, Joey. We were discussing what can happen if he wins the championship in his own league.
Yeah, we'll have to ask him those tough questions in the interview room after the race when that comes up. Like, what happens with the money? Does it just get transferred to himself, or does it stay there? We'll just have to kind of wait and find out if Jeff Maconi is in that position. And speaking of that money, Will, because we talked about the drivers Gauntlet, it's gone from the Legends cars all the way up here into the next gens, and first race paid out $50. First couple races paid out $50, and then you hopped into the ARCA cars that paid out $100. Xfinity $150, but the winner of tonight takes home $250. So not only are they talking about, the points championship here at the end, but $250 payout, which is pretty dang good for winning here at Daytona.
That just made Evans a little nervous right there. We saw the in-car camera point of view. I don't know if he's listening to us here at Maconi Entertainment, but the moment you mentioned that 250, you saw Evans' face change a little bit there in that in-car camera view.
Yeah, well, and we mentioned it. Brandon Evans has been comfortable out front. Chris Willite's been pushing him plenty, right? Just like right now, just pushing him down that back straightaway, wearing out that bumper, and once again, over 200 miles an hour going into turn 3. But when the tires start to wear out like they are now, things start to get a little bit more nervous each lap underneath the cars. And Will, you mentioned it, the air. You're pushing around so much air, and when you get on the old, worn-out tires, that air starts to push you around.
Yeah, definitely. And if you're not used to racing these next-gen cars here, I don't know what kind of experience our field has underneath these cars, but it's a completely different package of what any of these drivers are probably used to as they're down the backstretch right now, single file. And Joey, I think it shows here early on, 35 laps into the race. Drivers here tonight just getting used to how the draft feels, as you're not seeing a lot of drivers test out the outside lane at all. Just very comfortable, just nose to tail with the driver in front of them, just feeling it out, if you will, early on.
Here we come, completing lap number 35 here at Daytona. And like I mentioned, I don't know the exact green flag pit window, but it should be roughly here in the next handful of laps. And Will, this is, I feel, when things are going to get spread out a little bit, because it is so crucial to have a good in-lap, pit stop, and out-lap. Those are all very important parts of the pit stop process, and if you forget one or multiples, you can actually lose this pack that you came in with. And when you're out there on an island by yourself, you got no friends to help push you, you're really in trouble here at this draft track at Daytona.
Yeah, it's definitely a draft heavy track tonight at Daytona. You're seeing it early on, 37 laps in. And Joey, that goes along the lines of that wave pit stops that I was talking about there. If you time your pit stop just wrong, you don't get out there correctly, you get washed out, and that Yahtzee shuffle, I like to say, in those green flag pit stops, you can lose yourself. And maybe you have maybe one mulligan during the race, if you will, Joey, during those green flag pit stops, to maybe lose yourself once, get caught back up, but you can't do it more than once, or you're going to find yourself at the tail end of the pack. And as we're seeing the single file racing that's going on here, it's going to make it extremely difficult to gain positions.
Well, and to update everybody on the points now, we saw the videos of the top 3 here, and Brandon Evans is doing exactly what he needs to try to win this championship. We mentioned there's about a 20-point gap between himself and Joey Masevich that leads the championship. And looking at Masevich, he's back there in the 5th place position with Maconi right behind him. It's not quite the difference that Brandon Evans needs, but like I mentioned, the 39 doing everything he can out on the racetrack to give himself the best possible scenario of taking home the championship tonight. And I wonder when we're going to see these cars come off of turn 4 and dip below that yellow lane. Will they got to be running pretty light on fuel? I'm checking these lap times, and a little bit slower that time around, but they've been pretty close to their best overall lap of the race.
Yeah, things right now are getting hot and heavy underneath those wheels. And as we see Brandon Evans at 39 take us off corner number 2, Joey, I guess I wanted to ask you here, as we've been watching this run now early on in this race, is it better to be the guy at the top of the grid, the one leading this pack here, getting pushed by the 7, or is it better physically to be the 7 in the 2nd position, being the one pushing the 39 along?
Ooh, right now, I don't know. I think it's wherever you feel comfortable, I think. Now, if we're talking about the end of the race, I think that's a little bit of a different position, but
Oh, yeah.
only working lap 40 of 200 right now. I feel like if I'm comfortable out front, and as long as the number 7 car is pushing in safe places, meaning majority on the straightaway, you know, don't push me too much in the corners. That can definitely cause issues. As oh no, looks like the 3rd place car in line, that's Mark McNutt, having a few issues and actually goes below the yellow line on the apron. And now I'm seeing Brandon Evans call out on the radio. Looks like he's going to be coming to pit road. Will, this might be the opportunity that all of these cars come down pit road. Looks like maybe one stays out on the racetrack.
Oh, I thought it was going to be a little trickery out of Brandon Evans there, a little wide pit stop there. The 39 Brandon Evans right now, as it looks like, as you mentioned there, Joe, is going to see about 5 cars pack go by these leaders down pit road. This is wave number 1 of pit stops here on lap 41. Let's see what happens in this reshuffle.
I always say it's crucial to stop on your box. Looks like the 88 overshot his pit stall. That's Jordan Person. And Brandon Evans actually was very slow going into his pit stall. I think it's going to cost him. Yep, sure enough. Look at this. Joey Masevich. Wow. What a pit crew from that number 64 machine. Leapfrogs quite a few cars out, going to be into the lead, but Guillaume Hainaut crucially did not stop during that pit stop. He's still out on the racetrack doing laps. He's going to be coming in this lap, and I'll be curious to see where he cycles out and if he can find this draft. And actually looks like Masevich is slowing down just a little bit. He doesn't want to get too far out front. He realizes that he needs friends, and he can't just have one car. He needs multiple cars out there to start getting that head of steam on the racetrack.
Exactly. You see that pace right there. The 64 wants to set. You saw the run there before these green flag pit stops that was set, as now we see the 68 of Guillaume Hainaut head off of pit road right here. Guillaume has fans that are watching from France here tonight. Joey, not sure what the time difference is, but a big shout out to all those fans across the pond watching their fellow countryman Guillaume Hainaut have a good run here tonight. A shot at a championship in the Drivers' Gauntlet.
Yeah, and you see the front three just go by Guillaume right there, and he's not going to be able to stay with the front three, but he should get picked up by these cars that are coming up directly behind him. And actually a little bit unfortunate for Guillaume because he had a killer pit stop, really good in and out lap. But this is what I'm talking about. If you come out and you don't have any friends to play with, he's just stuck out here on an island, and he's got to wait for this pack. Looks like Perry Vance, Jason Hurdle, Kyle Wisner, Jeff Maconi, and Mark McNutt is going to be these 5 cars that are going to pick up Guillaume Hainaut. And the race is not over for Guillaume. Just didn't come out exactly where he wanted to, but he is still very much in this. He'll be able to get sucked up at the end of this little draft train here.
And right now he's waiting for this draft train to go by him. He talked about him being all by himself right now. Joey, this is reminiscent of the days of me trading Yu-Gi-Oh cards while everybody was trading Pokemon cards. So it got a little lonely for me back in the day. Or Magic the Gathering was another one back in the day for me. Joey got a little lonely playing that too. But now Guillaume has found some friends at the tail end of this pack as we're down the front stretch right now. Guillaume Hainaut is solid inside the top 10, currently 8th as we're 44 laps into this race.
You're right. He was able to tag on the back of that pack, and this is our front three. This is Joey Masevich in the number 64, Chris Willite in the number 7, and Brandon Evans, who are riding on board with here in the number 39. And I think this is the spot that Joey Masevich wants to be in, out front, come in the lead in the points championship. Let's go home. Let's just take this thing with a win and not allow anybody else even a smidgen of a chance out there. Brandon Evans doing what he can to stay in it, and really it seems like the number 7 has just been stuck in that second place, but he seems comfortable pushing the lead car. So Chris Willite doing a pretty good job, and you notice it's a 3-car breakaway, and Will, I'm checking it, it's about 6 seconds back to Perry Vance in the number 85, which is 4th place. And these front three, with how aggressive they're pushing, they're actually faster on the racetrack than the next pack.
Yeah, Joey, as we go down to corner number 3 right now, Joey Masevich is going to go to the top side of what is going to be a lapped car on the racetrack. If this is in any indication of what we saw there, we started to see a little bit of a 3-car breakaway there early in this race, but fortunately for us, the pack was still there close enough to catch that draft coming off. Here now, Joey, you just touched on about 6.5 seconds now. There's no draft to catch. These leaders, they link up correctly. They can peace out to the rest of the field here for a long time.
And the leaders are going very fast, and I think that might be a little deceiving because they had a lapped car that they had a little bit of a draft off of, which definitely kind of pulled them along, as well as the number 7 pushing them along. So we'll see kind of once it evens out here on timing and scoring this lap around. And I do think that 6 cars linked up will be faster than 3 cars. However, the number 7 car of Chris Willite is doing everything he can to kind of prove me wrong and giving some extreme pushes to the front of this field.
Yeah, most definitely right now. He is content with being a great teammate. Officially, unofficially right now, he's essentially being the Shaq to a Kobe Bryant right now. He's being a, let's call it a Jeff Gordon to a Jimmy Johnson during all those championship runs here. But just wait here, Joey, as we have yet to cross over the halfway point. How long this will last until the 7 decides he wants to lead a couple laps in this race. You saw what happened to Ricky Bobby and Cal Naughton. Once Cal led a few laps, won a few races, he felt a little good himself. Watch out for that 7 machine in that second spot.
It just cracks me up thinking of that movie. It's like, well, you know, who's gonna win all the races then, you know? Meanwhile, it's still Joey Masevich out front, and I'm actually getting a little note slipped to me under the table from race control. Looked like number 38, Garrett Crow, had a penalty in that pit stop sequence for driving through too many pit stalls, and so unfortunately that's going to put Garrett Crowe off sequence and probably battling for the lucky dog position out there, is riding on board with Jeff Maconi in that concentration, as he really is pushing the number 85 of Perry Vance through the tri-oval here, completing lap number 48, going on to 49 of 200 here at Daytona. And Will, check this out. Just like that, we're almost a quarter of the way through this race and all under green flag conditions so far.
All green flags so far here tonight. No on-track cautions. Enjoy. I think that just goes to show that single file racing we had early on. Not a lot of passes for position, not a lot of drivers testing out that top side lane, so not a lot of room for cautions, but there might be one right now as we come off of 4. Some cars spinning right here on the front stretch. Watch out. Oh my goodness, that was close.
And you saw it all live here with Brandon Evans, and you saw him tense up as that car was coming back up the racetrack and have a full course yellow flag on our hands. I just mentioned it. We had stayed green the whole time, and kind of the commentator's curse that I say it, and sure enough, it happens out there on the racetrack. We're going to go back and get a look of exactly what happened here on the racetrack, and I know that it was pretty sketchy for Brandon Evans' point of view, as he was just trying to make it through that wreck and almost ended up with a car in his windshield.
Yeah, well, watch right now here on Maconi Entertainment, and these are teammates there, Joey, that get collected in these fresh paint schemes we were talking about earlier.
And this is what I was talking about too, is I noticed these teammates were really pushing very aggressively when they were the 3-pack, and I know it's only 2 of them there this time, but looks like just got caught pushing off of the right rear quarter panel coming off of the corner while the lower car was also moving up. And it's just as tricky sometimes. It can be really tricky on where you need to link up, and unfortunately it ended up with 2 team cars into the wall, which you never want to see. You never want to see any cars in the wall, but let alone your teammate there with you.
No, definitely not. That basically takes both you out of the running for what is a huge payday here tonight. Joey, for all of us that have done iRacing, we know how expensive it can be sometimes. But $250 can go a long way, not only in iRacing, but in real life as well.
Absolutely. It can get you some new clothes, some new paint schemes, kind of like what we're seeing out here. It's a bit like the halftime show with some of the paints that are coming in and out there on the cars, and I think they're on paint scheme number 3 potentially from what I see on the racetrack. And let us see. It looks like it. We're gonna get all of these lead lap cars coming down pit road here, Will.
Yeah, interesting to see right here, Joey. I was gonna say, as we see now, Joey Masevich hit his pit box here, overdrives it just a little bit here.
Yeah.
As we saw pit stops not too long ago, what do you think the drivers are getting now?
Probably a chicken sandwich. I heard that place in the infield has a nice sauce.
Indeed, you can't get lost in the sauce, though, Joey. You gotta enjoy the sauce. You just can't get lost in it.
No, definitely just taking the opportunity to top up the tanks, get some new tires under the car, and the more fuel you got in it, the better. And with those pit stops, it actually is Chris Willite that's going to lead the group off of pit lane. We're going to take a quick break. Be right back with more green flag action here of the 2023 Drivers Gauntlet on Maconi Entertainment.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need: Maconi.
With the launch of Maconi Entertainment and Maconi Competizone alongside Maconi Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MaconiSetupShop.com/subscriptions.
There is a reason that Maconi Setup Shop is partnered with more real-world tracks and companies, including Junior Motorsports, than any other group on the iRacing service.
And remember, at Maconi Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Well, not only can you get faster out on the racetrack with those setups from Maconi Setup Shop, but if you're interested in getting that broadcasted race, league, or special event, head on over to that same website, click on that Maconi Entertainment tab, fill out the information, and Jeff will get back to you on getting it broadcasted here to share with your fans, friends, and relive those checkered flag moments. And also, if you're just curious about getting your own stuff going, visit Maconi Competizone, the newest company from Maconi Setup Shop. They specialize in event organization, promotion, and execution. So if you have an idea, Jeff can help make it a reality here on the iRacing service. And just like that, Will, we were having a conversation while that break was happening, and our producer, the bearded sim racer behind the scenes, says we're going to get chaos now, but what does the crystal ball say?
I think so as well. I agree with our wonderful producer here tonight on Maconi Entertainment. I think as the drivers have gotten comfortable here, they've tested out the single file lanes. We're going to have a double 2x2 restart here while we're under caution. I think the driver is now going to get a little antsy as we creep up towards this halfway mark.
I think so too, and especially with everybody grouped together here, they got to get back up to speed, get sorted out into their own lanes and where they want to be. And remember, it's been the number 7 that's been in second place. Now it's his opportunity to lead this field to the green flag. And does he want to stay out in front of the pack, or is he happy pushing cars out there? As you see Barney the flagman here, already the competitors on the loud pedal. The number 7 accelerates up through the gears. Chris Willite in front of this field at Daytona International Speedway, being followed by Joey Masevich. Looks like Brandon Evans on the top lane being pushed by Jeff Maconi. Then it's Jason Hurdle in the number 11 car, 5th place on the racetrack. And things are now starting to bunch up, going down the back straight for the first time on this restart.
Right now, as we're down the backstretch, we did have a caution flag on the backstretch right now. Big wreck down the backstretch as we head down into 3.
Yeah, looks like Samuel Lawson involved, as well as a couple more. I think I see the 57 of Jacob Reeves also involved. And this happens, I believe, the 57 and the 10 car, Carson Lucas. Carson Lucas is going to get a shove from the back end here from the 57. Then unfortunately, it just isn't quite lined up with the car that's in front of him here. I believe that is the number 21. I believe that's Eric Newman. I believe that was the innocent bystander that got collected at the front.
And boy, Joey, did we put the commentator's curse on all those matching paint schemes? Because it seems like from the moment we talked about them, they've just gone downhill here. We see Jacob Reeves in this 57 here. Jacob coming off a good run last week here in the driver's gauntlet. Trying to have a good run here. It's at 57, not looking like a lot of damage on there, but boy, is that a rolling billboard there from Maconi Setup Shop.
It is. Great advertisement for Maconi Setup Shop, and I don't think that we put the commentator's curse on him, Will. I really don't. I really feel like that was our producer's fault, because he was the one who brought it up behind the scenes in the commercial break. I'm going to call that the producer's curse. The bearded sim racer just laid it down for this entire field. How about that, folks?
Very good here, as this is the season finale of the 2023 Drivers Gauntlet here on Maconi Entertainment. These drivers have had to race through all different classes of NASCAR style cars. We've started at those legend cars, we've worked up super late models, ARCA cars, Xfinity cars, and now tonight we crown a champion with these next gens. And we talked about it just a little while ago, Joey. You know, Joey Masevich can get the championship here if he wins, essentially, or if he finishes top 5, top 3. Or if another driver wins, a little math would have to be done to figure out how far Joey Masevich figured out of the pace, or so be it. But what it just boils down to, if you're a driver in tonight's field, you just want to win and hope everything falls in your direction.
Correct. Usually winning fixes everything. Winning gives you the most amount of points, and even if you don't take home that championship at the end of the day, you still get to hold your head high for winning that last race. So yeah, no, I totally agree with you. Win the race, do what you can, and that's really all that you can do sometimes, but should always be your goal on the racetrack. Get up to the front, get there safely, and then tell everybody else that gonna take them to Gapplebee's and maybe meet you there because I want to win this thing.
Exactly, but I think here tonight you're gonna need a friend to go to Gapplebee's with you. Yeah, you're gonna need a friend to go to Gapplebee's with you. Maybe get a little 2 for $25 or a little 2 for $28 there if you get that sirloin steak. But here right now we're seeing that pattern. We saw it there before the caution flag flew. If you can find some friends to go with you to Gapplebee's, you can really build it up.
Now, I'm not familiar with the specials at Gapplebee's. So the Gapplebee's has the 2 for $28 steak, huh?
It does. 2 for $28 steak. Yes, sir. You can pay a little extra. I think it's like $2.50 extra if you want a beer thrown in there, or if you just want to rock with a soda or iced tea, you can do that as well. But yeah.
Well, what if you got a whole draft train that you're taking to Gapplebee's? What if you got like 7 or 8 cars that you're towing in line? Maybe do they have to go happy hour? Maybe hit up the chicken wings?
You could. I mean, a little after 10 p.m. at Gapplebee's, a little after 8 p.m. here on Maconi Entertainment. Get a little half off the appies here for these drivers here at Gapplebee's. But we'll have to wait and see here as we roll around 3 and 4. The pace lights are off. We're going to go green flag racing here as we hit the front stretch.
Well, and check this out, Will. I'm actually noticing the weather has calmed down a little bit. Track temp has definitely come down, now below 90 degrees. Wind is about the same, about 10 miles an hour still, so not blowing the cars around any differently than before. However, track temp coming down always means faster race cars, more grip. When the drivers have more grip, that usually means they tend to be a little bit more confident. More confidence kind of leads to more bumping and banging and closer racing. So we'll see if it stays messy like we just saw, or if we're going to get them calmed down a little bit more of a green flag run. But I'm looking through, we still have 18 of the 20 cars that started today's race on the lead lap and 19 of 20 out on the racetrack.
Yeah, and that kind of goes against what I was saying to start off tonight's broadcast, where I was imagining only about 10 or 11 cars left in this pack, but we'll have to see here. Gonna go green flag racing once again as Barney the Flagman has the green flag ready, and so are we as we go down to corner number 1 under green here in the season finale of the Drivers' Gauntlet.
Immediately see the number 11, Jason Hurdle, dip down to that lower lane. It's the number 7 of Chris Willite up top with Joey Masevich pushing him. But the familiar number 39 of Brandon Evans out front. And if you noticed, Will, it was halftime one more time. We no longer have me on the front of that car. It is now red.
Oh, there we go. I like that there. Evans in that 39 machine now rocking a pretty bright paint scheme here at the top of the grid. Still back on that inside lane. Now has Jeff Maconi in that 03. Watch out for Jeff Maconi, though. If he can find that opportunity to win the championship in his own league, he will take it. Now you're starting to see a little build up on the top side lane, Joey. Drivers now about 59 laps in, starting to get a little bit more comfortable with their setups here.
And yeah, it looks like Chris Willite getting a really good push from Masevich. Had some momentum going here, these 3 cars, and the top lane definitely making a run for it, trying to get up front. And I think if they do get up front, you'll probably see them come down and clear down into that lower groove. But I want to draw the attention to that paint scheme, Will, because remember, it was kind of the iRacing me. You know, it's all about me out there for Brandon Evans, and you got to get it done just like how Ricky Bobby does. But what is up with this? I think Jeff Maconi all of a sudden hacked all the files because it's no longer me, Brandon Evans. It's Jeff Maconi on the hood.
There we go. Rocking that Maconi setup shop. Logo placement on the hood, and I think here tonight, Joey, gives us a great showcase of these Maconi setups on these race cars Here today, you're seeing the speed, you're seeing the cohesiveness of how the draft package works. If you're a driver that's interested in racing in the Next Gen League and you want to set up for your Next Gen car, well, here you go, folks. You see exactly what those Next Gen setups at Maconi Setup Shop can do for you here as we come off of 4.
And I think that's a great point, Will, is that these cars are on a fixed setup by Maconi Setup Shop. And in terms of the racing, the cars have been perfect out there. We haven't seen anybody lose control, right, by themselves. The cars are very stable, even when they're being pushed. We haven't seen any accidents. We saw the 2 team cars kind of get into each other, but that was because more of a bad push coming off of turn 4 rather than the cars getting loose and losing control underneath them. And I think that's just kind of a testament to this setup and how stable it is that all of these different racers can hop in this one race car setup and go out there and drive it to the front.
Yeah, exactly. But we have seen an interchange at the top of the grid here tonight. Although Evans has been the clear leader so far, seen a little interchange up there. We've seen a little interchange with second as well. But still early on in this race, Joey, what do you see looking into your crystal ball of how this race is going to unfold?
I think right now it's still a little tense right now. I'm seeing Chris Willite maintain this top side, and not that things are getting close. It's just that it's one single pack, and if a domino falls and it's one pack like that, it tends to wipe out quite a few cars. So just gonna try to take a deep breath every now and then and hope that nothing happens bad here in these next few laps while they kind of all sort themselves out. And with another car coming up and joining this top lane, Mark McNutt here in the number 60, just going to give even more momentum to this top lane, and we're going to have more 2x2 racing really for, I would call it now, the first 8 positions on the track.
Yeah, we didn't see this at all there in that first run of the race. It was a single file all the way down the grid. Top side is starting to get comfortable up there, as Joey just mentioned, about 4 or 5 cars. 63 laps into this race, creeping up towards that halfway mark, Joey, as things are getting a little dicey on the apex of 3 and 4 right now as we hit the front stretch.
Well, you called it, and just like that, Brandon Evans saw the momentum from the top lane and shifted up there in front of Chris Willite. Now,
ooh,
I do like this move from Brandon Evans because number 7 has been pushing everybody in front of him, and this has been a familiar pair. They're now paired up one more time on the racetrack, the 39 being pushed by the 7, and Masevich now in the 3rd place position. And I think that's a good thing. Maconi was starting to pop out a line there while pushing the lead cars, and was getting a little narrow, like you were calling it there coming off of turn 4, Will. I'm sure you saw them get very close side by side up front.
Yeah, as we see that 2x2 tandem we saw racing up there dissipate now all into one transformer inside lane there. And you see that all the way down the grid, Joey. I'm going to count the cars here, but I'm going to lose count. Probably around the 12th or 13th position on the racetrack. Single file there. Jeff Maconi trying to poke out a little bit, see if that top side lane anybody wants to play. Nope, nobody wants to play, as we're still single file down the backstretch into 3.
Yeah, and I just gotta be careful with the 0-3 and where you're poking out, because it can do a few things between the cars in front and also the cars behind and where they are looking, and just gotta be careful of exactly what you need to do out on the racetrack. And the 0-3 has plenty of speed, but when he takes a look up top like that to try to kind of break his own momentum, the 88, Jordan Person, has a huge gap down there, down low, that he could technically shove a nose down into if he felt aggressive. Now, I know we're only working lap 66 of 200, but you never want to open up a gap. You never want to show another racing car driver a potential spot to take.
No, you don't want to show any kind of weakness on the racetrack, as everything right now is very synchronized on that low side lane. Jeff Maconi again tries that top side, but we're under caution. Caution flag is out. Yellow flag here at Daytona International Speedway.
believe maybe Kevin Carlisle. No, Kevin's on pit lane right now. Have to see exactly where this happened back here, but second yellow flag of the day. And Will, this comes as I felt things were just starting to calm down on the racetrack and just starting to kind of settle into that groove of green flag rhythm again, and seeing exactly where this yellow flag was for. Looks like it was for the number 10 car. Carson Lucas was sideways on the racetrack in front of a few cars, and gonna catch this replay here, Will.
Yeah, we're gonna check out this replay here on Maconi Entertainment, see exactly what brought out the caution as we were single file. Wow, there, Joey. It looks like we went 3 wide there. Hard to see. I think a different camera angle there will show exactly what happened. But I think we went 3 wide there on the entry of the corner, and things just went a little skewy there, so to say.
Well, and this is what I was talking about. You see a couple of the cars kind of shift up a lane, and what they're doing is they're actually moving up a lane to kind of break their momentum a little bit. Now, here comes the 21. He doesn't see this. He is pushing the 11, and he's going to push him straight into a gap that's technically there, but not meant to be open, per se. And unfortunately, you see kind of the consequence of leaving the door open, Will.
Yeah, you don't want to leave the door open, and I think that goes to say about the aero as well. These drivers thought they could start to push the issue as they were doing, let's say, in those Xfinity cars a week ago, or maybe even in the super late models or late models. You can sort of push the gaps, if you will, get into those windows, those opportunities you were speaking about, Joey. But these next gens here, that window is very, very, very small, very microscopic there. You have about a millisecond to think before you even make a decision about anything, Joey. And here tonight, we're starting to see it a little bit as this race is playing out.
Yeah, we're seeing it as the race is playing out, and I'm looking out on the racetrack right now. Looks like the majority of the field, actually all of the field, came down pit road here during this yellow flag. Took the opportunity to once again put new tires on the car, put a fresh full tank of gas in the thing, and get ready for some more green flag running. But it was Brandon Evans who leads them out of pit road in the lead. Guillaume Hayno now in the second place position. Must have been a good stop there for the number 68 car, as Chris Willite down to the third place position. Eric Newman, now correct me if I'm wrong, Will, but wasn't the 21 one of the cars that helped get into that yellow there? So Eric must have had a pretty good stop himself under that yellow flag.
Yeah, pretty good stop indeed. No fast repair for these drivers though here tonight, Joey. We've only seen a few cars have to retire. Allen in that 71, Carlisle that 72 is down pit road. I'm gonna assume that he's retired here tonight. Jacob Reeds in that 57 is retired. Lucas is retired in that 10. So my assumption that we'd have our grid cut in half, so to say, it hasn't happened yet, Joey, but I think we're gonna have some more chaos and calamity as this race is playing out.
Yeah, for sure. And I would think that, to go to your point, yes, you know, the more incidents that we have, the more cars are going to pick up damage and slowly fall out of the race. However, here at Daytona, the benefit is the pace car laps are so long. You know, I'm looking here, almost 2 minutes per pace lap. So it gives your pit crew plenty of time to fix any damage if you do pick up something and then a yellow flag happens. So hopefully, you know, these competitors will see that, come down, take advantage of these yellow flag laps, get the damage fixed that they need to, and then get back out there racing, because it's always good to see when you get to make it all the way to the checkered flag. And also want to give a shout out to everybody watching, and also any new subscribers out there. Always thank you, and glad to see you all on Maconi Entertainment watching the 2023 Drivers Gauntlet. And we're coming up not quite halfway here of the 500 miles at Daytona. I'm Joey Atterbury, Will Tillers here in the booth, and we got Ryan Bauer, Bearded Sim Racer, producing behind the scenes, giving you all these great camera angles being provided by Dougie Beard, and also Brandon Davis up there in race control, keeping an eye on all of these competitors on the daycare center that is Daytona International Speedway. And just like that, pace car is off, and the field is in the hands of Brandon Evans for the next green flag.
Yeah, Brandon Evans has been the man to beat here tonight. Let's see if he can continue that dominance right now, as we're going to ride on board and step aside here on Maconi Entertainment, give you the sights and sounds of the Daytona International Speedway.
Just like that, one lap already in the books. Brandon Evans continues to lead the way with his familiar drafting partner, Chris Willite there, the number 7 car, pushing him along. Jason Hurdle now up into the 3rd place position, Joey Masevich 4th, Jordan Person inside the top 5. We'll just go give a run through the field here. Guillaume Hainaut 6th, Jeff Maconi there. Well, now it's Brian Zimmerman overtaking Jeff Maconi. Jeff in 8th, Tanner Marr, and also Kyle Wisner inside the top 10. And it looks like in 11th place we have Eric Newman, Dakota Bruff there 12th, Samuel Lawson, Carson Lucas, Harry Vance, Jacob Reeves, Garrett Crow, who managed to get back on the lead lap, is still out there in 38. Mark McNutt is the last car on your lead lap. Kevin Carlisle still in the race, but taking repairs on pit road as we ride on board with Jeff Maconi here. And I believe this is for 9th place position right now, as he's trying to get everything sorted. He's actually the last car in this lead draft train.
Yeah, Jeff Maconi here in that 03 machine as we creep up towards the halfway mark of the season finale here in the 2023 Drivers Gauntlet. We spoke about it a few times here tonight during this broadcast. Anybody can really win the championship. Jeff Maconi would want nothing better than not only take home the prize here tonight, but take home the overall Drivers Championship as well. Right now we're riding on board, and we talked about that setup. I think it gives Jeff a little bit of an advantage right now as he's battling it out inside the top 10.
Well, I actually am curious if we can put a speedometer on Jeff Maconi, because he's on the back of this lead pack right now, and I believe he hit 206 miles an hour going into turn 3 this last lap, and I'm checking this out, 205 going into turn 3 this lap. And the reason why you're seeing such a high top speed out of the 03 is he is all the way in the back here of this 9-car train. You see him get up underneath Tanner Marr, and now he's up in the 8th place position. And what he's able to do is kind of hang back a little bit, you know, maybe let him go out a car, maybe a car and a half, and then as he gets onto the back straight, he goes ahead and puts his foot down, sucks it all right back up, and is right back into that draft train as you see him just kind of paint that yellow line. And Brandon Evans up here, check out those eyes. He's glancing in that mirror. Who's pushing me? Where is he pushing me? And looks like we're in control of this one still.
And I think too, right now, Joey, I think the drivers keep an eye out on that equipment. Of course, the drivers had back-to-back pit stops there. We headed down pit road around lap 41, and then we had another pit stop around lap 50. So right now, watch for Brandon Evans as he is getting pushed here. You know, Willa in that 7's been in that 2nd position virtually the entire race here tonight. So no different push that he's had here down into the corner. We watched that ferociousness, that focus out of Brandon Evans there. Very focused here tonight with a lot on the line.
And actually, the more that I'm looking here, Brandon Evans' rig, check out this onboard, because he's actually got a motion rig. Doesn't move a whole lot, but in my opinion, that's exactly what you want. Is you just need a little bit of motion to trick your body into exactly what's going on. And in fact, I think I'm even seeing the little shoves that Chris Willite is giving them, little shoves in the back, if you will. And that's pretty cool to see that level of immersion now, that really you can get in your own living room. These rigs used to be a lot of money, totally unobtainable, and we're seeing them more and more pop up with more competitors here on iRacing.
Yeah, and I gotta say, Joey, I come from the days that we see a big push out of the 7 there, big run and big aggressive push to the back of Evans in that 39 down to corner number 3. You know, I come from the days of the old console video games, the old console racing games, and we used to play these style of games maybe in the arcade. For folks that are unfamiliar with an arcade is, that's a cabinet style video game that we used to play and sit in and race in. And some of those games back in the day had a motion sort of rig sense to it that kind of gets you immersed into that racing experience. But as you mentioned, Joe, you can have that in the living room now.
Yeah, you can, and you're taking me back now, Will. And for everybody listening, let's see here. What was your favorite arcade driving simulator? Now, I think the probably one of the most popular is the what is the Daytona USA that was in all the different.
Right.
You know, it's still in like the Dave and Buster's right now. You could probably go down and drive one of those. My personal favorite, if you remember, was the F355 Challenge, the Ferrari F355 Challenge. And you would sit in it, and it would actually have the gated 6-speed transmission from the old Ferrari. So it felt like you were Nicolas Cage hunting down Sean Connery in the streets of San Francisco.
Oh my goodness, Mr. Joey Atterbury, Mr. Fancy here at Maconi Entertainment. I remember playing California USA there and hitting the accelerator, getting the flames to come out and the Corvette, but you're over here playing the Ferrari arcade games. Excuse me over here as I play my California USA.
Well, hey man, I know about that. Now, was it California USA or was it Cruisin' USA?
It was Cruisin' USA. There we go, Joey. You got it. See this? It's been too long. We're already starting to forget.
Yeah, right. And no, the Cruisin' USA was a classic one. You double tap on the gas, and like you said, get that big wheelie coming out of there. And yeah, that was always a good one. And I know we're getting a little distracted here on the broadcast, but still Chris Willite pushing Brandon Evans out front, and I'm actually a little worried right now for Jeff Maconi because he got separated back here with Tanner Marr and Brian Zimmerman. And check this out, Jeff Maconi is struggling right now. He's 1.0 and falling away from this lead pack. It's almost like he got shoved out of the canoe and can't tread water right now.
Yeah, Jeff Maconi in that 03 machine was in the top 5 up there, holding it down for position. Right now, as you mentioned, though, Joey in this pack losing speed in a hurry right now, about 2 seconds off of Guillaume Hunot, who is now up to 6th in that 68 machine.
Yeah, and officially Jeff Maconi has lost this front pack. It started out as just a second, but here we are 2.5 seconds back now, and a full 5 miles an hour off of the pace of the front runner. So Jeff Maconi now has to hope for a yellow flag in order to be able to catch up to the lead back. And I'm seeing all these great shots of these different arcades from being behind the scenes here, being put in from the production. And it's pretty good, Willie. This is definitely taking me down a memory lane here. And do you remember another classic racing one? It didn't have 4 wheels, but Hydro Thunder.
Hydro Thunder, I do remember that, and I actually just played a new one to me. It's a Japanese style racing game called Initial D, where it's uphill or downhill style racing. You have to shift. It's all manual transmission. And Joey, I showed up to do a competition in that, and guys that were other drivers had racer ID cards leveled up, and here I am, Mr. Level 0. I'm like, I got this. I know I play a little iRacing. I play a little console racing game. Nowhere near the level of competition.
Yeah, they can get pretty intense in those, and I'm gonna show my age a little bit, but yeah, I remember growing up and in high school watching Initial D on the VHS tapes that we would get, and always a fun time watching Takumi drift his little Corolla up and down with his tofu delivery business. And I'm thinking through another classic arcade as Brandon Evans still continues to lead the way over Chris Willite, Jason Hurdle in third place, Joey Masevich fourth, Jordan Person fifth, and Guillaume Hainaut is the sixth place car in this lead draft pack. And one more arcade game that I remember is, you remember this one? San Francisco Rush.
Yep, remember that one as well. Gosh, Joey, we're going down memory lane right now with these arcade games. I tell you right now, is Brandon Evans still leading the way in that single file lane down the backstretch down to corner number 3. And for everybody that's watching along with us here on Maconi Entertainment, we invite you in that Twitch chat. Shout out your favorite arcade racing game from back in the day. Another one for me, Joey, was MotoGP, where you'd actually have to sit on the motorcycle and sway side to side as you race along. But right now, as we're 84 laps along into this race, no change at the top of the grid here as we creep up towards halfway.
Now, Will, let me give you a little bit of a hint on those motorcycle games, okay? What you got to do is you got to drag the big buck hunter game next to it, grab the rifle off of that big buck hunter, so that way when you're on your motorcycle, you go ahead, take out your competitors there on your screen. That always solves that problem. And I'm seeing more. I see Fast and Furious arcade games. Now, that is one that I am unfamiliar with, is the original Fast and Furious. I also see the ATV, the Sega ATV off-road one. I'm familiar with that one, but Will, I do know about that MotoGP one that you're talking about. It kind of reminds me of the old skiing arcade game as well, that you would hop on the skis and kind of swish your way down the mountain.
Indeed, as me and Joey are up here in the booth reminiscing, Race Control has slipped me a note that the 28 of Zimmerman has been disqualified for wrecking the 03 of Maconi there. So the 28 of Zimmerman now out of the race here on lap 85.
Gonna catch this replay of exactly what happened here. And ooh, yeah, looks like the 28 just got tough into the back of the 03, and see the 03 essentially have to spin out down the back straightaway here, and gonna catch a glimpse of exactly what happened. And I think the reason why the 28 has been disqualified is it looked like the 28 went probably below the yellow lane and then kind of came back up into the racetrack, and rather than kind of a square hit, I think that's probably why there's such a harsh penalty.
Yeah, and from what I'm hearing, the 28 of Zimmerman tried to blame a faulty steering part there that just caused the 28 steering to just give way, that caused the 28 to make contact with the 03 of Maconi. So difference of opinions there, what happened there, but from Race Control's opinion, the 28 is now disqualified.
Well, and I think it's also the attitude that you have to have out on the racetrack is that accidents do happen. However, intentional accidents do not happen. And sometimes when you raise your hand and kind of shout about how that happened, it's never a good attitude to have out on the racetrack. But talking about good attitudes, definitely Brandon Evans out front and Chris Willite in the number 7 car, Jason Hurdle in the third place position, and Jason and Joey Masevich. Now, I'm not too surprised about Joey Masevich, and I shouldn't be surprised about Jason Hurdle either, but Jason is actually up 8 positions from where he originally started up into the top 3.
Yeah, right. So a lot of big movers up here in this grid. I was going to mention the 11 of Hurdle right there. We also look at Person right there in the 88, but one name to keep an eye out for as we creep up towards this halfway mark right now. Joey Masevich, our points leader, up in 4th. Very comfortable right there.
Yeah. Will, I like how you're keeping us on track over here, because I've got an ADD brain. Obviously, Ryan and I think similar. We're still talking about arcade racers, but Brandon Evans is out there trying to win a race. You're talking about points, and I agree. Brandon Evans is doing everything he needs to try to win this thing, but Joey Masevich is sitting there in the 4th place in points, and he came in leading this points championship. So essentially, you have to knock Masevich off of that top rung in order to win this thing. And Brandon Evans doing everything that he possibly can. Jeff Maconi, we documented his problems that he's had, so that's one less competitor that Brandon has to worry about. But Masevich still hanging out there in that 4th place position.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly where the 64 wants to be right now, Joey. You know, we spoke about what's on the line here tonight, and you know, we've seen those big runs off of 4 here at Daytona, so I think he's just positioning himself exactly where he wants to be, because we're probably going to have about 2 pit stops to close out tonight's race right now in the 2023 Drivers Gauntlet season finale here on Maconi Entertainment. Evans still leading the way off of 4. That 39 machine's found a friend in me, just like Buzz Lightyear found a friend in Woody there. White in that 7 machine pushing him along down to 4.
Yeah, and he's going to need all the friends he can have at the end of this race, and hopefully the friends don't try to steal away that race victory from him. But I kind of enjoy what I'm seeing. I know it's not necessarily the most exciting thing on the racetrack. However, we got 500 miles to do here at Daytona. You do need to go out there and log laps. Otherwise, it can be a very, very long night for everybody if you just kind of have yellow flag after yellow flag on the racetrack. You need to actually go out there and accomplish this race. And I'm still seeing Daytona USA stuff. Oh, there's the MotoGP bikes I'm seeing pop up in the chat now. And I love all the different color bikes. I even see the LED wheels on those MotoGP bikes, Will.
Yeah, we're going down memory lane right now with all these driving arcade games. And Joey, I found a place about 45 minutes away from me that has all sorts of cabinet arcade games, including a lot of these racing games we're talking about here. So I'll have to make it back up there as soon as I can. That's where I got absolutely smoked in that initial D competition.
Oh.
So.
Well, now we talked about arcade games, and another kind of arcade style game that can have a lot of popular racing things is pinball machines. You ever been a big pinball machine player?
I am a big pinball machine player as well. And Joey, I thought about competing in a competition the same day in a pinball competition, but just up until the point where I saw somebody strapping on a pair of gloves, that's when I knew it was my time to go ahead and bow out of that competition.
Well, you know, I think all you need is maybe a case of Red Bull and you're ready for a pinball competition.
That's right. Gotta stay ultra focused.
Oh, goodness. And we're actually creeping ever so slowly towards halfway through here in this 2023 Drivers Gauntlet Daytona 500, if you will. 500 miles on the high banks that is known as Daytona International Speedway. And lap number 93 of 200 right now in the books. Brandon Evans, definitely your lap count leader, continues to lead this pack of, let's see here, it is 6 cars that right now have broken away from the number 57 of Jacob Reeves. Now Jacob is leading the second group, and he's all the way back there on the back straightaway, right on board with Carson Lucas way back here in the 10th place position. It actually looks like it goes all the way back to Dakota Bruff in the number 52 is the last car in this second pack, if you will. And then there's a third pack all the way back here being led by Jeffrey Maconi, Mark McNutt, Sam Lawson, and also Garrett Crow. So, Will, we've got 3 different draft packs on the racetrack.
Yeah, and we saw that early on in tonight's race. You saw the 3-car draft pack separate. You saw the pack catch back up. You saw it again about 30 laps later. You saw about a 3-car separation. Then we had those pit stops, which caused everything to get bunched back up. Then we had a caution flag in the mix as well. So watch out there in these 3-car packs that you talk about here, Joey. Once those green flag pit stops come back into play, which should probably be in around 20 to 25 laps, if we're going to see the same racing we're seeing now.
Agreed. Yeah, I think that's when it's really going to open up, and just have to be patient, wait and see, because if we have more green flag pit stops here, we'll I fear that these packs are going to get even more separated and we're going to have even less racing on the racetrack. But one thing I'm noticing, this Brandon Evans pack is actually catching draft pack number 3, call it. And that's a little scary for some of these cars, because if you get multiple cars one lap down, you're no longer fighting for the lucky dog, you're kind of fighting for the wave around, and the wave around isn't as good as the lucky dog. You want the fresh tires as well as the track position.
Yeah, definitely. As once one said, you want a fresh pair of Air Force Ones, you want a fresh pair of Nikes under your feet, make you feel like you're riding on clouds. And that's exactly what these drivers want here tonight, Joey. You want that pair of freshies, so to say, get that speed back underneath you.
Also known as sticker tires. Stickers are always worth some good speed, and I see you will drop in the Rush 2049 arcade into the chat. And yeah, the Rush 2049, part of that San Francisco Rush series, and those were always some of my most favorite ones, going and taking some of these cars and like launching them over these huge jumps. I loved that one.
Oh yeah, Joey, now you got me starting to think a little bit about some of these arcade games that I used to play back in the day. I have no idea what our producer just showed us here in our broadcast chat. I do think I have played this game, Joey. It is technically a racing game. It's called Furlong, where you sit on your thoroughbred race horse and you race it just like a jockey would. Technically a racing game.
Oh, and we have a major pileup on the racetrack, and that happens when we're talking about horse racing. And just like that, huge incident that involves our leaders on the racetrack. We're going to have to go back and take a look of exactly what happened here at the end of turn number 1. Going into turn 2, I see our leader, Brandon Evans, involved in this. And this was part of this main draft pack. And will this happen when they caught this third draft pack? Look, they had to try to go 3 wide up top. Chris Willite separates from Brandon Evans, and oh no, it was the 33 on the racetrack. Who's the 33 out there? I believe I'm going to have to take a look at the nameplate, but that happened in front of the entire lead pack.
That was Evans in that 39. You're going to see damage to the 39 of Brandon Evans. Jeff Maconi in the 03 is going to be tagged up in this as well. You see the speed that they were coming with, Joey. Gosh, just like a rocket just coming up quick on that top side. Boy, is this not even going to have race implications, but championship implications as well.
Yeah, I think that might have been the 03 all the way down low. Have to get a glimpse of exactly what happens to the 03 here. If he comes up the racetrack or if he gets help. Don't know. It might be a little bit of net code from what I saw right there, but definitely all started with the 03 on the bottom of the racetrack, and then all of a sudden comes up the racetrack because of contact on the right rear quarter panel, I believe.
Yeah, and we see it right here. Excellent shot on Maconi Entertainment. No net code there, Joey. It looked like that was clear contact to me.
Yeah, definitely, and unfortunately it's injured a lot of race cars out there on the racetrack, and I think given how many green flag laps we're seeing, seeing all of these lead lap cars now come down onto pit road, and this is a good opportunity to fix any of the damage that you just got, or just put fresh tires on, fill it on up with fuel, get back out there on the racetrack.
Yeah, as we see most of the leaders down pit road here, 100 laps in. Officially the halfway point of this race. Not much difference from the last 50 laps that we ran before that, Joey. I would say we have a few more cautions, a few more hairy situations here as we watch this battle off of pit road. We watched the first 50 laps being led by Joey Masevich in that 64. Now, Brandon Evans in that 39 was leading there. Took some heavy damage still down pit road in that 39.
Such a tough break for that 39 car. And I went back and really tried to take a look at this incident. And I do think this comes down to net code, Will. And before we talk about this, before I armchair quarterback this to a million different ways, we're going to take a quick break. Be right back with this restart here on Maconi Entertainment.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need: Maconi.
With the launch of Maconi Entertainment and Maconi Competizone alongside Maconi Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MaconiSetupShop.com/subscriptions.
There is a reason that Maconi Setup Shop is partnered with more real-world tracks and companies, including Junior Motorsports, than any other group on the iRacing service.
And remember, at Maconi Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Huge shakeup on track and in the points for the 2023 Drivers Gauntlet, with that wreck taking out quite a few contenders and have to keep on trucking out there on the racetrack with any sort of damage that they got and try to fix it on pit road. And it all started with the 0-3 of Jeff Maconi going up into that outside lane there, got a little bit of help from some netcode issues, and just took out a good handful of cars, Will. Now, we've officially crossed past the halfway point of this race. With a big wreck like what we just saw, do you think the competitors are going to calm down a little bit, get back to green flag running? We can talk more about some arcade games, or are we going to get more action on the racetrack?
No, I think the action is just going to pick back up. I think the intensity is just going to pick up as these laps start to tick down. These drivers are going to start to realize you only have 100 laps left. And here, of course, it's been sort of a long 100 laps here to start off this race. But now you're starting to count the clock, if you will, knowing that that $250 is in your sights and the overall championship could be in your sights as well.
Ace car lights are out. It is Jordan Person in the number 88 that's going to be leading the field to the green flag. And I see a few familiar names up there, but already on the loud pedal for Jordan, and he starts to get up through the gears as these cup cars accelerate. Got one more gear in them than they're used to over the last handful of years. And Chris Willite now on top of the racetrack in the number 7. Doesn't have any friends behind him. Would expect to see him slip down into that lower groove just like how he does. Now we've got single file for probably about 10 cars on the bottom lane. The 42 is the first car. Kyle Wisner up top, going to get some help from Dakota Bruff right behind him and Perry Vanes.
Yeah, as we see this line now go down to 3 and 4 at the bottom line. Still a preferred line so far tonight. Joey, I'd say 100 laps into this race, I can count only maybe 2 or 3 times we've seen that top side really try to get built up or build up any speed. So far, though, here tonight, just Person's now on the top of the grid. We saw Evans lead the way. Now he is down in the 10th position, has some work to do if he wants to get back up in this clean air. But around the corner right now, so Person leading the way in the 88.
Yeah, Person leading the way, and up to the top lane goes the 88. I think he's not too comfortable with some of the pushing and shoving that was going on at the front of the pack. And here comes Brandon Evans trying to make his way up through the middle right now, taking advantage of that draft of Jordan Person up here. You see him come up to the back of the 20 car. 20 on screen, number 88 on timing and scoring, and try to get some momentum going here. But you got to remember, this is where Jordan didn't want to be. He didn't want to be being pushed out front, and now you got Brandon Evans, who's unaware of that knowledge, trying to make some headway back here on this top groove. And you see it's so tough to try to make this momentum work on the top lane when there's only 1 or 2 cars up here.
Yeah, only literally 2 cars on this top side right now. Joyce, we come off the corner number 2. Evans thought he had a partner there, but Person's, it looks like he's just hitting the brakes there. Now going to slide all the way down to about the 8th position on the racetrack. Only that pair on the top side as we're around 3 and 4.
Yeah, a little bit of too wide racing back there. And I really feel like the only reason probably why Jordan Person and Brandon Evans are, well, I can tell you why Brandon Evans is out there. Brandon Evans is trying to make his ground back, and actually looks like a little bit of a checkup on the low lane is going to advance those cars in the top lane up a couple positions, but I think it's kind of all for naught, you know, because the low lane is going to have the greater momentum. But I think Brandon Evans is trying to get the track position back up to the front of the field where he wants to be comfortable in leading this race. And these guys up front down low, they need to get it worked out a little bit, because I'm looking at Guillaume Hainaut. And Guillaume's been pretty aggressive with the pushes to Joey Masevich, but remember, it's been the number 7 that's been the most aggressive, and you never want to be in Guillaume's position where you're pushing and also getting pushed. It kind of creates a sandwich effect, which creates instability.
And I gotta say, for Guillaume Hainaut and that 68 machine, I think I know why Guillaume here tonight's racing with a little bit more confidence, Joey.
Oh yeah, do tell.
Yeah, I think it's because France painted Wickham Stadium today. That's France versus England in rugby, 52-7 in that game here today. So France really laid it on England in what was a huge match across the world.
That is pretty cool. Definitely always got to bring that real world momentum into your own racing efforts. And you saw on the back straight there, looks like the number 4 car of Tanner Marr got shoved out of line, and he decided that he wanted to go chest out that chicken sandwich in the infield. And Will, I told you, that place actually makes a really nice sauce.
I mean, you know, you can't get lost in the sauce, as Gucci Man once said, you know, but without the sauce, I mean, you got no sauce. You always need the sauce there, Joey.
You mentioned it, so that means the contenders are slowly starting to drop out based off of attrition here on the racetrack, and I think we're down to about 16, I think, that are on the lead lap. Actually, I think it's less than that. I think we're down to about 15 cars now, 14 on the lead lap, and it ends with Carson Lucas there in the number 10 car, and Carson is actually barely hanging on to the back of this draft pack. He's got to be careful, the number 10 car. Don't get too far away from these leaders like we saw Jeff Maconi do earlier. And just like that, you can lose touch with the draft pack and actually see Jeff Maconi move up to the top side of the racetrack. And we've got 2 wide racing for the 3rd place position, trying to get the momentum built on the top side of the racetrack. The 0-3 is going to try to build that momentum.
Yeah, and how extremely dicey this pack is right now. Joey might lose more cars as this race proceeds. We're going to ride on board with Jeff Maconi on the top side in that 03 machine. She's trying to work that top side lane right now to get around these contenders. Right now, Joey Masevich in that 64 right there. You see Guillaume Hainaut right there in that 68. Jeff Maconi wants nothing better here tonight to take home $250. He'll pay himself in the overall Drivers' Championship in the 2023 Drivers' Gauntlet, but he has to get around the points leader, Joey Masevich, who leads the way off of 4.
Yeah, really good racing here. And oh no, the 21 with another really aggressive push. The 21 almost turned the 7 car, and that's the 2nd time we've seen the number 21, if not the 3rd time we've seen the number 21 car get involved with some pretty aggressive pushes, and not necessarily the best place on the bumper, but we escape the yellow flag. Just a couple cars losing the draft on that one.
And Person on the top side says, "Hi, I am a person and let me be." On the top side, trying to look for friends up there, but now Jeff Maconi, our race leader in that 03 machine, rocking a very simplistic paint scheme here tonight. A little bit of that logo on the side, logo on the hood, just a few theme colors, if you will. Looking good right now as he leads the field across the line, make it 111 into 1.
Now, Will, if he wasn't a person, What would he be? I know that we talked about Ricky Bobby, maybe a cougar. Would it be a cougar in the car? Or maybe is it Tron? Is he an AI out there?
It could be right there. The artificial intelligence, but if you make them too smart, they too think they're a person.
Skynet over here. We're watching Jeff Maconi. Jeff Maconi is about as hooked into Skynet as you can possibly get with the VR on as well as the monitor, and doing a pretty good job. And we've been talking about arcade racers. Did you ever think that these arcade game developers of the 70s, and well, maybe not quite the 70s, but probably the 90s, would think that, hey, you know, just in a few 20-some years, there's going to be these full-blown race car simulators in your living room?
Yeah, I think so there, Joey, and I like to see the switch already in, let's say, modern racing, where you'd have these test days, these track days, which of course you still have, Joey, but a lot of these new age drivers now can hop in their simulators, feel the track feeling underneath them before they even hop in a race car. So it's a whole different world of racing. I think it's going to open the door for a lot more new drivers, that wave of drivers, including William Byron now, who has a win on the season. He came through the iRacing ranks.
Oh yeah, William Byron is definitely a big iRacing guy, and always a supporter of what the sim can do, and finally getting some of these older off-road simulators being dropped in the chat here. And the one that we really haven't ever mentioned yet, Will, is probably one of the most classic, is the off-road racing. And I believe it was called like even Champ Off or Pro 4 Off-Road Racing or something like that. But it was where you could have up to potentially you and 3 of your buddies, so 4 players, could be racing on that little off-road arcade game, going over the jumps. That was always a really good classic one.
Always a good classic one indeed. As right now, Jeffrey Maconi still a race leader, and Joey, we're watching the same pattern of what we've seen here tonight, that single file racing down in the corner right now. And do you think here, as we cross into about 114, you're going to start to see more of that side-by-side racing?
I think that if you ask me as a team manager or a crew chief, no, I don't want it. I don't want it at all. You know, get hooked up, get down on the low lane, start to click off some of these laps, because as we saw, when you get yellow flags out here on the racetrack at Daytona, it can really start to drag out this race. And we're just over halfway here of 500 miles. We have a lot of racing left to do. Let's at least get it down into these closing stages before we start knocking out any more competitors out of the race.
Exactly. Well, as you say that, we have cars spinning off the corner right there. Caution flag is out.
Yeah, caution flag on the racetrack. Gonna take a look at exactly who that was. Looks like Jordan Person, in fact, did not have the right AI script in that file here. And gonna take a look at, oh, it happened in front of him, actually. And then Jordan, does he get it locked down? A little bit of contact to that right rear quarter panel on the wall, but I don't think it's any severe damage. I think he escaped this one.
Yeah, I was going to ride on board here, Maconi Entertainment, this replay here. Just as you mentioned there, Joey, you're just going to see a little stacking up of position there. No harm, no foul. Maybe a little bit of damage there, but not much. I don't think it's going to affect them. The rest of this go, these next-gen race cars are built like tanks.
Yeah, definitely built like tanks there. And you saw Jordan just kind of get back up onto the racetrack, and I think it might have been maybe Mark McNutt coming at speed, and yeah, yellow flag gets thrown. And seeing a lot of these off-road racing arcade games finally get posted in the chat here. This is what I'm talking about. This is exactly the game that and you know what, I was wrong. It's you and 2 friends, so it's 3 players there. And it kind of takes me back to the NES days of the Excite Bike. Very similar to Excite Bike.
It does indeed. Do you remember Excite Truck that came out for the Nintendo Wii when it first came out?
I do not remember that one. Was that kind of a throwback since it's on the Wii?
It was a throwback. It was groundbreaking for its day because you could steer the truck with the Wii remote. You could feel all the jumps. You could jump with the Wii remote. So very cool racing game, probably a little ahead of its time.
Yeah, I'll have to go and check that one out. And this yellow flag provides an opportunity. Come down, get 4 fresh tires, fill it on up with gas, fix any damage that you potentially have there on the race car, and get back out on the racetrack. And here we see a few of these cars. Jeff Maconi get down and underway. Joey Masevich already out there on the racetrack. And Eric Newman in the number 21 advances up into the second spot. We highlighted a few of those little issues that the 21 has had earlier on the racetrack, but finds himself nicely up 15 positions up into the second place spot right now.
Yeah, Joey, and I think throughout tonight's race, 117 laps into this, and then again, we want to thank everybody who's tuning in with us here live on Maconi Entertainment on Twitch. My name is William Tiller. I've been joined by Joey Atterbury up here, and our producer Ryan Power giving us all the excellent the views of the race and arcade racing game talk. Joey here as we watch this pace, and I think it's just the pace that's being set by the leader. You know, we saw Brandon Evans up there in the 39 machine really lead the pace, really fan it out. Now Joey Masevich is up there doing the same thing. Of course, we've only had a couple caution flags out here tonight, but you know, the leaders can't separate too much now. We have this packing up together, Joey. What do you see happening here in this second half of this race?
Well, I see things continuing to stay busy. However, the more wrecks we have, the less cars we're going to have out on the racetrack. And actually seeing a few of these competitors here, this Joey Masevich as well as a few of the others, come down pit road one more time. And I can't help but to think that this is a strategy call. Remember, it was about 35, 37 laps, almost 40 laps. Oh no, was that the number 60? We gotta catch a replay. I don't do this very often. Oh no, a reset. I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh here. It looks like this is the number 60, trying to get up to speed here.
Oh no.
I don't know if it was a misshift or what exactly happened there, but unfortunately, Mark McNutt, problems on the apron, had to get it towed back down to pit road, and totally lost my train of thought there, Will.
That Winn-Dixie seafood was hitting Mr. Mark McNutt when he's coming off the pit road there.
Well, looks like a little bit of a money shift issue, which is kind of interesting because these cars have sequential boxes now. Kind of difficult to do that, but we're going to get them re-racked, restacked, and looks like we only have 13 cars on the lead lap now, Will, so things are starting to thin out just a little bit up front.
Yeah, exactly, Joey, and I think this goes along. It wasn't the case, I would say, about 20 laps ago. Now, though, as these caution flags are starting to fly, starting to go along with my crystal ball prediction of probably only around 10 cars left on the track when this is all said and done, but you know, all depending on how many fast repairs these drivers left have, Joey, because you got to think you're still going to have maybe 1 or 2 big accidents, quote unquote, towards the end of this race. But right now, as we cruise down the front stretch, it's going to go green flag racing once again, Joey.
When these cars whiz by on the racetrack. Always love that, and the sounds that they make and the vibrations. Always a good time out there. And Right now is Eric Newman in the number 21 car, leading the way over Brandon Evans. And even though Brandon Evans had that problem on the racetrack, he has found his way back up inside the top 2. Gotta give it to the 39. He came here with the mission to win this championship, win the Drivers' Gauntlet, and he is doing everything in his power to try to do that. And I actually look and see Joey Masevich back there in the 11th place position. So right now, this potentially could go to Brandon Evans if things ended exactly this way, but we got 80 more laps to go.
Yeah, and just like Ricky Bobby was relieved to find the Lucky Charms underneath the car, not the Colombian Bam Bam, Brandon Evans is relieved to find himself now back up inside the top 2 as we come off the corner.
P.S. Don't try to snort these Lucky Charms.
Doesn't sound too fun.
No, but check this out. Dakota Bruff up here in the 52 on the outside lane has had some help, primarily in the form of Perry Vance wearing out that back bumper, and they've actually got the momentum going on this top group. Check this out. Guillaume Hainaut is also up there, followed up with Jason Hurdle, but these front 2, Dakota Bruff and Perry Vance, immediately drop down to that low line of the racetrack once they get clear, kind of leave Guillaume and Jason out to dry here on the top lane.
Yeah, right now, as you see that top lane still trying to get built up, we're down the backstretch right now. You see more teammates up here wearing matching paint schemes up here at the top of the grid to see if this pair can do it. Dakota up here in that 52 machine leading the way, has a little bit of that yellow tint to that number.
You're right. Red and black leading the way up front, and now we're starting to get that single file racing. You still see the 88 of Jordan Person kind of ducking out of line, and it looks like Eric Newman as well. I'm not sure what happened to the 21 there, Will, but looks like he chose the top side of the racetrack and now maybe trying to sort himself in. I'm not really sure where the 21 is going right now.
No, as we see right now here on 123, these drivers still trying to figure it out right now, see who they can work with, who are their friends right now. As you see Joey starting to see another tandem try to be built up there on the top side lane, but really not going anywhere.
No, and just like that, Eric Newman gets a push off of turn number 4, and another yellow flag out on the racetrack. This one caught up with Eric Newman. There might have been one more car involved, but primarily has been this 21 car up top, and see him get a shove as he also comes down off of turn number 4 and just heavy contact into that turn 4 wall.
And you see the 21 on the top side. I was talking about that tandem that was trying to be built up there as we ride on board with Brandon Evans in this 39 machine. You see that pushing that's taking place. That's the 88 of Persons up there, and just, you know, Joey, sometimes, you know, I spoke about it earlier on, the aero for these race cars is very different. You know, sometimes you can just be pushed in the wrong direction, and it just makes you a little uncomfortable behind the wheel.
And you see Person here, he's off of the left corner, and it's a tricky situation too, Will, because coming off of turn 4, you're holding the steering wheel left. You want to complete the turn, but really what you want to do is you want to point it straight to try to kind of unweight the car a little bit, kind of get it unloaded. That helps free it up a little bit, and so that way if somebody does kind of come along and push you, they don't push you into the turn, they push you straight. Unfortunately, just the 21 did not get pushed straight there, and you saw him get hooked down into the inside wall. And this provides us another opportunity for some yellow flag pit stops, and leaders and all lead lap cars are going to take advantage, come down, get that freshy set, that sticker tire set, and fill it on up with fuel.
As we watch right now, probably looking at maybe one more pit stop these drivers will have to make towards the end of this race here. This is the 2023 Drivers Gauntlet season finale right now, as we watch along with us, and We'll see if we can't get anybody in here as we're under caution flag here, Joey. Not a lot of caution flags here tonight. Usually we go to break, but maybe here, since the season finale, we'll have some special guests in the broadcast booth.
Yeah, Will, I know that you got some virtual legs there while you go and check on all of that. Keep everybody up to date on the running order right now. It's Dakota Bruff out front, Chris Willite in the second position in that number 7 car, and Brandon Evans there in third place position, Jason Hurdle fourth, Jeff Maconi fifth, Joey Masevich sixth, Jacob Reeves, Perry Vance in the 8th spot, Guillaume Hainaut 9th, Jordan Person in the top 10, Carson Lucas and Kyle Wisner rounding out all of the cars that are on the lead lap. And looks like we might actually have one of the competitors going to be joining us here in the broadcast booth. Now, it is going to be the 03 of Jeff Maconi. And how are things out there on the racetrack, Mr. Maconi?
Stressful. They are very stressful, and I am learning the definition of co-opetition right now. Joey and I are best friends. We race together all the time. We race really well together, but obviously he and I are both fighting for the championship, and we both really, really want it. So, stressful, but it's a lot of fun. I'm just glad the car's still in one piece. I need to keep it in one piece and just survive to the end, and I can worry about finishing position from there.
Yeah, you got to survive until the end. And I know you're getting re-racked up here on this restart, but we're working lap number 126 of 200 right now in this 500-mile event. You think we're going to see some more two-wide racing and pushing and shoving that we've really seen through the middle of this race, or are things going to calm down a little bit, Jeff?
I hope it calms down a little bit. We have one more green flag pit stop. We can go about 43 laps on a tank, 40 if you're the leader. So we need to make one more stop, but I want to survive. I want to bring home a championship for this Maconi Setup Shop, Maconi Entertainment, Maconi Competitive Zone, a Bruzy Racewear, Ron the Snack Guy, WSMN Broadcasting, Victory Sim. I'm forgetting one because I'm just so, stressed and focused and everything. It's a lot.
Stressed and focused. Should Danica Katrick be playing with all those wires?
What?
I'm just kidding. She's go get focused on the green flag, Jeff. We'll talk with you later.
Appreciate it. See you guys later.
And just like that, pace car is off of pit road. See Barney the Flagman with that green flag, and look at how viciously he is about to wave this thing as Dakota Bruff is on the gas, accelerating up, and looks like Chris Willite there is on the top groove, getting a push from Jason Hurdle as these cars start to accelerate up through the gears one more time here at Daytona International Speedway.
Yeah, we're green flag racing once again through the apex of 1 and 2 as we hit this backstretch. Joey, I think this is my favorite time here on Maconi Entertainment. We're going to step aside, give you the sights and sounds of Daytona International Speedway.
Usually, number 7 is pushing the lead car, but Chris Willite says, you know what, I like the view out front here. I might as well try out some of this fresh, clean air, get some of the bugs of my own on the front windscreen, and see what it's like up here at the top step, and being pushed by Jason Hurdle, Joey Masevich there in third place, Dakota Bruff, and Brandon Evans rounding out the top 5, and things can change. And I didn't want to say anything to Jeff Maconi while he was in there on the radio with us, because kept mentioning cooperation, co-opetition, whatever he said, and he kept talking about Joey Masevich. But if I was him, I would keep my eye on that number 39 car, because I think the 39 has been the class of the field all night.
Yeah, I'd have to say that Brandon Evans very strong in that 39 down there in the 5th position here on lap 129. But I think you're leaving out our leader, Willie, in that 7 machine was very comfortable in 2nd, pushing this 39 along there in the top of the spot that grows at 39 to the top side. Now on the back stretch, see if that 39 has a run here, see if he has any friends as we dig down into corner number 3. But yeah, Joey, the 7 machine, I think you got to watch out for him. A lot of speed up there at the top of the grid. Running 2nd for a long time. Now has a taste of that fresh air. I don't think he's going to give it up.
Yeah, a little bit of side drafting games being played there. And you see now that Jeff Maconi is hooked up with Brandon Evans. They're starting to make a little bit of momentum. And notice the 0-3 was pretty hesitant to push in the corners here. And you see him kind of get stacked up in this outside lane. And I know Jeff Maconi's doing the right thing. He's being safe, but when you're in that top groove, you really got to be aggressive with the pushes in order to make that momentum work. And here you see that line already kind of start to evaporate and everybody shift down towards that low lane. Dakota Bruff is actually up there, kind of the lone competitor on the top lane, and see just everybody flies straight down bottom and goes right on by.
And you see what that air can do to you there, Joey. It can really chew you up and spit you out. Dakota Bruff thought about that top side lane. Now all of a sudden you see some more drivers on the top side lane. Dakota Bruff there got chewed up by that arrow and spit back out the tail end of that pack. Now down the 1 and 2, down the backstretch right now. That low side lane still trying to get back together as you're going to see some of these drivers get left out on the top side lane.
Yeah, and Brandon Evans was down there and tell you what, the 42 thought he was clear, but he was not. The 39 had to go below the apron wisely instead of making contact there with Kyle Wisner. And thankfully, no incident on the racetrack, especially with Brandon Evans being, we've got a huge checkup in the middle of the tri-oval. And not sure where that one really started, but that one had huge implications. Hopefully not too much damage on some of these cars.
As Joey, as you talked about, cars retiring, we had another driver retire. He was now watching along with us on Maconi Entertainment's official Twitch channel. Newman in that 21 machine has called it a night. So that officially leaves 12 cars on the racetrack.
You're right, 12 cars on the lead lap, getting ever so closer to that 10 number that you mentioned. And feeling a little bit for the number 39 car. He's got to be careful. He's flirting right now. He's 8/10 back from this lead pack, and Dakota Bruff is not hooked up with them right now. If he falls back any further than this, he could lose that lead draft train.
Yeah, and Joey, just to go on a point you were talking about there, as Will will take us off of the corner as our race leader. We spoke about tonight's field. We had about 20 in that starting grid, Joey, but you got to think, yeah, it's a little bit difficult if you get lost in translation to try to find the top of the grid. But you also got to think as a driver, okay, so that only leaves 19 other drivers I have to worry about getting in the way of a $250 payday on a Saturday night. Joey, I don't know where you can make that kind of money on a weekend. Probably not anywhere that has kids involved. But right now, down the front stretch, $250 for these drivers. Now, you just talked about only about 12 drivers left on the track, only about 8 drivers left in this pack. The numbers are dwindling, and I think the drivers are beginning to realize that.
Yeah, and talking about those numbers, you're right. We got to take them into account with the overall championship picture. And when we were doing our math pre-race, Brandon Evans needed to outscore Joey Masevich by about 9 positions is what he needed to do. It's about 3.5 points per position in terms of the difference in points payout. So yeah, Brandon Evans needed to essentially win the race. Joey Masevich finished about 9th place. Or if Brandon Evans finished 2nd, Joey Masevich would have to finish about 10th or 11th. However, Will, with your point, with only 12 cars on the lead lap, that doesn't allow very much wiggle room for Brandon Evans to kind of tread water and fight for this championship.
Yeah, you gotta think, if you're in these pack of about 5 cars in this top pack, of course, we're probably gonna have another 1 or 2 pit stops before this race is concluded here tonight. you gotta start thinking you're in some pretty good position to make some money right there. You know, in the days of my competitive Madden days, I'd like to think that if there was only 8 competitors or 12 competitors in the field, that gave me a better chance of winning that money at the end of the tournament. Just like these drivers are probably thinking in these we're looking at around 6 cars up here, that they have an excellent chance at that money at the end.
Yeah, excellent chance at the money. And we mentioned the money, right? $250 being given away to the race winner tonight. So not only have we been talking about the championship points all night, but there is that cash money on the line for the race winner. And right now, the number 7 of Chris Willite looking to try to cash in on that. And Joey Masevich coming in here in the points championship lead. Jeff Maconi second place in points, and Brandon Evans third place in points. And unfortunately, Brandon Evans has lost that lead pack 2.5 seconds back now from Kyle Wisner in the 6th place position. You see the gap there on the racetrack, about 1/4 of a straightaway.
Well, yeah, about 6 cars right there, and it's crazy to see it, Joey. If you look at that
Dakota
scoring...
Bruff is blowing up. He just blew up behind Brandon Evans. It's going to get even bigger on the gap now, and it's going to take one more car off the lead lap, Will.
Yeah, Dakota Bruff there was running a pretty strong race here tonight, bobbing in and out of the, I'd say the top 8, top 10. Dakota was up there trying to test out that top side lane. Didn't really find anything comfortable for him here tonight. Going to retire that race car in the garage. That's going to leave us in that magic number 11 with Person, who was leading the race in that 88, now down the 11th position.
Yeah, Person doing a good job gathering it all right back up and getting back together out on the racetrack and realizing the race isn't over until that checkered flag falls. And right now, working lap 138 of 200, got 2 different draft packs going on the racetrack. Chris Willite getting pushed by Jason Hurdle out front. Joey Masevich third place, Guillaume Hainaut fourth, and Jeff Maconi rounding out the top 5. And might as well throw Kyle Wisner in there because he's the 6th car, the last car in that lead draft pack.
Basically a 6-car battle at the top of the grid right now. Gonna make it 139 in the books down in the corner number 1. And I have to say, Joey, this mix of drivers, these 6 drivers up here, have probably been the same players here tonight, with the exception of Evans in that 39 machine, who's down into 7th as we come off of corner number 2. You know, Willite was a good pusher there for the longest time in 2nd. Joey Masevich was our leader for a little while. Guillaume Hainaut has been up there in that 68 as well, inside the top 5, top 3. Jeff Maconi as well in that 03. So these drivers have really been maintaining, staying consistent throughout tonight's race. And as we creep up towards 50 to go, now find themselves in a pack of drivers with about a 4-second gap from the rest of the field.
Yeah, 4-second gap indeed. It's grown out to over 4 seconds and extending right now to Brandon Evans, who don't give up yet. I know that he sees the championship slipping away, the race slipping away, that he had really been out front all of so far. But trust me, yellow flag can still happen on the racetrack. Just stay with it out there. You never know what can happen. And while things calm down just a little bit more, Will, and I'm hoping that if we shift the topic just a little bit, we won't give any commentators cursing out there. Now, when you go to the arcade, are you a ticket collector, or are you more of an experienced person that you just want to go play the games?
I think that's changed now, Joey. I think the days of tickets may have all but evaporated. I think it's more of an experience. You want to go to an arcade, you want to have a good time. You want to try out some games, that you want to reminisce a little bit, maybe try some games you didn't know existed. Shout out to Arcade Monsters in Melbourne, Florida. They have every sort of arcade game you can think of, from racing, pinball, old school cabinet. I didn't even know they made a Halo cabinet shooting game. So all these different games I didn't even know existed. And Joey, I gotta say, I know you remember the days of Dance Dance Revolution. I didn't know one existed that was just a flat pad and it picked up your arm movements as well. So you learn a lot at the arcades now. Yeah,
well, you gotta think arcades actually have heavy money and development behind them. Probably as big as most video games because gambling. Gambling is always big in the money-making industry. And if you go down to Vegas, you kind of see the preview of everything that's coming out, because if you can make money on it, Vegas is definitely the leader in some of that, especially with the gaming and the screens and whatnot. Always pretty cool to go down to Las Vegas and see kind of what's new and throw back a little bit with some more arcade games here. Time Crisis. Were you ever a Time Crisis player?
Oh, Joey. You just pressed my pedal right there. You just got me with that reference, Joey. Time Crisis 1, 2, they did a third one. All sorts of different guns throughout the years of that series as well. You got it right there for me, Joey.
Yeah, those were always fun ones. And, you know, I think kind of the Resident Evil games kind of played into that same kind of pedal type system. A lot of fun, but going back to the original question that I asked, I am a ticket collector when I go to the arcade. Like if I go to Dave & Buster's or if I go somewhere, right, I got to put money on the card, okay? If I'm going to be playing these games, I might as well walk away with something. So I see a better value for my investment if I'm collecting tickets while also playing.
That's true. That's true. But I think some of those prizes are so astronomical that you might as well just buy the prize instead of collect tickets.
Well, and I'm seeing in the chat here, go number 68, Guillaume Hayno. Need the $250 out there. So Guillaume, looks like you got some fans out there and you need to pick up the slack. You're in 4th place position, and I'm not saying that you're in a bad spot. 4th place is actually sitting really, really pretty here at Daytona International Speedway, especially coming to the closing laps. And yeah, I think Guillaume, if you can come up with $250, you're gonna make your fans very happy out there. Seen a couple more ones out there. Soul Calibur 2 at the arcade. Now, Soul Calibur 2, I am unfamiliar with that one. Will, do you know this one?
I know Soul Calibur. That's a fighting game that may have gotten overlooked by the likes of Tekken, Mortal Kombat, those type of things. So Soul Calibur, I'd say, was probably about the 3rd or 4th fighting game back in the day.
You know, and you're right. Yeah, Tekken, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, those were all very popular. And you got to think those were arcade games before they made it to the console, and then they really blew up on the console out there. Just kind of like how Jason Hurdle is blowing up the bumper of Chris Willite out front. He is continuing to push this number 7 car. Nothing has changed in terms of the running order. The only thing that's probably changed on the racetrack is it actually looks like Brandon Evans has gotten some organization together in that second group and starting to make a little bit of inroads. He was back 4.5 seconds back. Now he's only about 3.5 seconds back and starting to close ever so slightly on this lead group.
They're starting to close in just a little bit here. Gap still about 3.7 seconds right now. 146 laps into this race here, and folks talking about the pace of this race, the length of this race. Well, on the line here tonight, the biggest prize of every race this season being awarded here tonight, and the 2023 Drivers Gauntlet overall champion. So a long race. Great things take time, Joey, as we're still trying to crown a champion. And I gotta say, I agree with the folks at home. That 7 machine has been sitting pretty all night.
He really has. And, you know, I mentioned that Brandon Evans was the class of the field, but I agree with you. You know, you kind of corrected me. You said Chris Willite's been there, and Chris Willite has been in second place literally the whole race. And here, this green flag run, he's taken the opportunity to be out front and lead this race. And I've been focused on the 39. He's one of the points contenders. He's had a fantastic race so far. He continues to close back in this gap. Now, only about 2.5 seconds back, but you're right. The number 7 has been on fire. Call it NBA Jam arcade style.
Yeah, on fire indeed. He has made his 3 shots in a row right now as he comes off of corner number 2 as our race leader. We have just about 11 cars left on the racetrack right now, with Lucas being that last car, but he is He's all by himself there, Joey, at 27 seconds off the pace. Next closest car would be the 88 of Pearson here tonight, who was our race leader for a short time here as well. Joey, as we creep up towards this halfway marker, what do you see playing out here as we have just about 50 laps to go?
Well, I'm hoping that we see some more calm and collected racing here, maybe get up to about 190 or so before we start to see more intense racing. You got to think even 10 laps at Daytona is a very long distance around, so I'd want to keep it calm at least for a full another green flag stint. And when we were talking with Jeff Maconi, he said that the cars can go about 40 laps on a set of tires and a full tank of fuel, and we're working about lap 24, 25 right now, so only about halfway through here, and projecting that should make them stop probably about 170 or so. Lap 170 is probably when we're going to see that pit window open in terms of the end of this tank, and when they can make it to the end, probably another 10 laps right now, Will.
Yeah, probably around 10 laps or so, and that'll bring the field back together. But then again, Joey, depending on when those pit stops take place, might fan out the action even more, as right now we only have about 5 cars at the top of the grid. Used to be 6, now it's 5, as Wisner is now starting to fade back in that 42 machine, as we're officially 50 laps to go here in the 2023 Drivers Gauntlet season finale.
And Brandon Evans was making inroads on this lead pack, but doesn't look like he's making those in-runs anymore, as Chris Willight's found a little bit of speed with Jason Hurdle. And gonna take a quick break here, be right back with the last quarter of the race of the 2023 Drivers Gauntlet on Maconi Entertainment.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need: Maconi.
With the launch of Maconi Entertainment and Maconi Competizone alongside Maconi Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MaconiSetupShop.com/subscriptions.
There is a reason that Maconi Setup Shop is partnered with more real-world tracks and companies, including Junior Motorsports, than any other group on the iRacing service.
And remember, at Maconi Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Well, we're back here for the last quarter of the race here at Daytona. Not just the last quarter of the race, but the ending of the 2023 Drivers Gauntlet. We'll be able to crown a champion at the end of the race tonight. And Joey Masevich came in with the points lead. Jeffrey Maconi sitting in second place in the points championship. Brandon Evans in third place. And slowly but surely, as the laps have dwindled down, counted away, kinda is a race between Joey Masevich and Jeffrey Maconi, and it is currently the 64 that's kind of got the upper hand on the rest of the field in terms of that championship.
Yeah, right now, Joey Masevich in that 64 finds himself in a perfect position to be crowned the 2023 Drivers Gauntlet overall champion. We've raced through all the NASCAR ranks: legend cars, ARCA cars, super late models, Xfinity cars, trucks as well, Joey, that led us all to this point here tonight. As Will Light in that 7 machine takes us down the corner, Joey Masevich in the 64, I'd say maybe had a bit of a roller coaster night here to Joey, in and out of the top 5, kind of fade back a little bit, but now here in this last stretch, I'd say the last 80 to 90 laps, finds himself smack dab inside the top 5.
Yeah, right inside the top 5 where he needs to be, and really good run there. And I think that's really all you can ask, is to be inside the top 5 at Daytona. Because if you're out front, you're kind of a sitting duck, but as long as you're inside, call it really that top 8, I think you got a shot at the win here, because crazy things happen on the last lap of a super speedway race. all sorts of pushing, shoving, wrecks, side drafting, people leaving people out to dry in terms of tandem drafting. So as long as you can see the leader, I realistically think you got a shot at winning one of these races.
Yeah, right now, as you see, Will Light in that 7 takes us into 3, and Joey, we're seeing a big separation between the 6th position and the 7th position, about 8 seconds now. So essentially this race has boiled down to about a 6-car race right now. Still have another pit stop to go here as we reshuffle the grid out. With 45 laps to go, Joey might be looking at the 6 drivers that have a legitimate shot at winning tonight's race.
Yeah, might be, because if we stay green flag, there's just no way that Brandon Evans and company are going to be able to catch the lead pack. And we're about to see the pit window open as well, and that's a sketchy push right there as you see all 3 front cars all hooked together. And when you're the 64 in that position, it just kind of, things get very light. The air moves you around, you're getting pushed from the back end while you're also pushing the 7 car. And thankfully, nothing bad happened, but always have to be careful when you're that middle car in line. And Will, you mentioned kind of the pit strategy game. We're coming up on the window. About 160 laps. So about 4 more laps, I think, is when the pit window opens for when the cars can make it to the end. And it's open for about 10 laps before they are going to have to actually run out of gas and have to come down to pit road to put more in the tank.
Yeah, as we watch right now, so a few factors to watch out for here tonight, Joey, as we come to the conclusion of this season, of this race here at the Daytona International Speedway. Right now, Will Light still leading the way in that 7 machine. Joey Masevich in that 64 right behind him. Guillaume Hinault right there in 3rd. Jeff Maconi in 4th. Hurdle is going to be in 5th, and Wisner is going to be in that 42 machine. That's going to be our top 6, because after that, Joey, the rest of the field about 10 seconds off the pace.
You're right, and I'm looking exactly 9.30 seconds right now off of the pace, and uphill battle for Brandon Evans. And Will, what did you say? You thought there's probably going to be about 10 cars left on the lead lap?
Yes, sir. Now, if my betting record can just resemble my iRacing predictions, you know, we'd have a richer man behind the microphone.
If only the world worked that way. And you're right, it looks like there's only 10 cars on the lead lap right now, but we've still got 43 laps to go, and I'm wondering if we're going to see any more attrition come into play. We saw Dakota Bruff with the engine go out on him earlier. Mark McNutt is still technically in the race, however, he is on pit road right now taking repairs. So it really leaves just kind of the top 10, Jordan Person and up, on the lead lap, and really count out Brandon Evans, Jacob Reeves, Perry Vance, and Jordan Person if we don't get a yellow flag. If it stays green flag, those cars are pretty much out of the race, because as you said, Will, they're 10 seconds back now.
Yeah, 10 seconds off the pace. So you're watching the championship hopes of maybe Brandon Evans in that 39 essentially evaporate right now. 9.9 seconds off the pace. Reeves in that 57. Persons in that 88. You know, some of these drivers weren't really in contention. Definitely, though, Brandon Evans in that 39, a driver that we saw at the top of the grid who was racing very strong here tonight. Night has now gone completely sideways.
Yeah, and you can't blame it on the 39, because 39 has done literally everything right out there on the racetrack. He even got collected in that yellow flag. You remember, Will, when we had that group of cars just spread out in front of the lead pack, and the 39 was in front. He got collected from that, and he's fought his way all the way back to the lead, and now we lost the draft pack. And now, in my opinion, I actually think it's the competitors that are letting him down a little bit, because he needs more cars on the racetrack. He needs more cars on the lead lap, that potentially, if Masevich and Maconi have problems, that they would fall those positions. But with only 10 cars on the lead lap, the opportunities are slimmer and slimmer with every car dropping out for Brandon Evans.
Yeah, for Brandon Evans and that 39 machine currently in 7th needs that caution flag. And I think one of the fans that are watching along with us here on our Twitch channel here, Maconi Entertainment, wants a caution flag as well. One can only hope. Well, I wasn't hoping last week when Kyle Larson got his lug nut caution, so to say, and that opened the door for William Byron to win because I had Kyle Larson as a race pick. So we'll see if we'll have a lug nut caution here tonight, Joey, with 40 laps to go.
And unfortunately here in the sim, I think the lug nuts, once they're on, they cannot come off, unfortunately. So not going to have a Robbie Gordon yellow out there for any water bottles on the racetrack or anything like that. Would have to purely come from race control up top right now. And actually really happy to see that these cars are playing so nicely out here. And actually pretty interesting to see Kyle Wisner. I'm not sure what he's doing right now, but he's actually losing touch with the lead pack. And is he going to come down pit road? I was wondering if he's maybe leaving a little bit of a gap to pit road, or maybe this is the fast lap strategy. Get about half a second back and try to log the fastest lap of the race. But either way, the 42 and kind of no man's land.
Yeah, he really is. And if he strays off too far, he'll lose that draft. Coming off the tail end of Hurdle, and that 11 Hurdle has now been solidified inside the top 5 for a long time now. Hurdle on that 11 still has a legit shot at the championship as well. Has to start making some moves though, as now you're starting to see Wisner starting to catch that draft a little bit more. Maybe just coasted off the pace a little bit. We got a little uncomfortable in that draft.
Yeah, and you see he is able to close it back in, which is good to see, but was just kind of curious. I was wondering what Kyle was doing back there, and logged a 45.6 that last lap, which was 0.3 faster than the leader of Chris Willite, and shows you the power of the draft and really what can happen back there when you're not having to push all of that air in front of you. And still, Chris Willite being pushed by Joey Masevich, Guillaume Hainaut, their 3rd place, Jeff Maconi 4th, Jason Hurdle 5th, Kyle Wisner the 6th car in this lead group. And if things stay as they are, Joey Masevich will be your 2023 Drivers Gauntlet champion. But the pit window's officially open. Wonder if we're going to start to see any cars come down pit lane. I believe that was Carson Lucas, who is off of the pace right now, off of the lead lap, coming down, probably making his final stop.
Yeah, probably here with 36 laps to go. We'll see when these group of 6 head down pit road. Now you're starting to see some of these drivers test out that top side lane. That's Jeff Maconi up there. And here, Joey, I don't think they're trying to do that for speed, just trying to try out some new lines before this group heads down pit road. I think Jeff may be heading down soon, the way he is trying to navigate to that inside lane. Might be right now as we come into 3 and 4. The 03 thought about it there, tapped the apron with those tires. Gonna stay out on the racetrack though one more time around. Nope, he is gonna head down. He is gonna head down with the lead pack there, Joey. They got me a little juke move there from that lead pack.
And Maconi just wanted to give a little bit of extra space there because you saw how much ground he was able to make up on the brakes. Now, only 6 cars came down here. It is so crucial not to miss your box here. And looks like all of them stopped in time. They're all going to go up on the jacks on the right side. Now we're going to see, do they go up on the left side? They do. So all competitors taking 4 tires here and fresh full tank of gas and back out on the racetrack. And actually Kyle Wisner in the 42 might be getting left behind here. He's really got to get up on the wick and start to catch up to Jeff Maconi, because you see him kind of getting left out behind.
Yeah, and that's the tricky bit of green flag pit stops. You have to time it just right. You have to draft it. But you see right now the 03 of Jeff Maconi, he has to make sure he catches that draft. Or as you mentioned, he'll be stuck in no man's land. Kid Cudi solo dolo for Jeff Maconi in that 03, as you see that lead pack down to 3.
And in fact, Jeff Maconi has lost the draft pack. I'm looking at this 1.3 seconds, 1.4, 1.5. He is steadily losing time. The cars in front of him a full 10 miles an hour faster. And You know, I thought that he did a good job catching the pack, but this is a potentially dangerous situation when you leave those cars out going into the brake zone, that you lose touch with them coming out.
Yeah, and you don't want to do that. Jeff Maconi, that 03 machine's been very strong here tonight, but now losing the pace and a frantic clip now down to about 4 seconds, or up to about 4 seconds now. So, Joey, that leaves realistically only about 4 cars on the racetrack that has a chance at victory here tonight.
You're right, all the way down to 4. Chris Willite, Joey Nasevich, Jason Hurdle, and Guillaume Hainaut. Jeff Maconi, check this out. This is the power of the draft, you guys. 1 lap difference. He is 6 seconds back right now. I can't believe that. He is 15 miles an hour down on the pack of 4 together, and it just is a lonely, lonely place right now for Jeff Maconi out there on the racetrack. It's got to wait for Kyle Wisner behind him, and then it's all the way back to Jacob Reeves in the 7th place position, but they're 9 seconds back from Jeff Maconi. So you're right, Will. It really is up to this front 4 to decide the race as long as we stay green.
Yeah, as we cross the line here with 32 laps to go, you see exactly where Jeff Maconi is in that 03 machine. But maybe, Joey, we could ride on board with some of those leaders in that 4-car pack to see what their point of view is, and we'll ride on board with some of them for a few laps here on Maconi Entertainment.
Yeah, right on board here. This is Guillaume Hainaut. Now, Guillaume is in the 4th place position. We saw that he had some fans of Guillaume and saying, got to bring home that $250 tonight. Maybe help pay to put some food on the table, pay some of those bills that PC, it uses up a lot of energy, doesn't it, Will?
Yeah, exactly. You need a little bit of that here tonight, as the 68 Guillaume Hainaut is trying to get a little extra energy into this pack, as he's at the caboose position. Joey, what's the advantages of riding where Guillaume is right now?
Oh, I think that you're at the buffet table, right? And you're last in line. However, you're seeing everything that happens. Where does the number 7 go? Ooh, does that look tasty to me, or is that a no-go? So he's got the opportunity to watch his 3 competitors in front of him, see if there's any trends that they continue to make, and then possibly take advantage of that at the end of the race. But it really is up to Guillaume to kind of recognize those trends and then maybe best put them to use if the opportunity arises. And tell you what, these front 4 cars are starting to close it in terms of the gap between them, and they're running very, very fast out there on the racetrack. 45.5 out there, and compare that to the second pack, 45.8. So not only are they leading the race, but they're also putting down the fastest laps of the race currently.
Yeah, and that's excellent to see here late in the race. The lap times are getting stronger. The pace is being set by Willite in that 7 machine. But of course, we have some fans watching along with us here on Maconi Entertainment on our Twitch channel. And enjoy, with 30 laps to go. For those folks that haven't yet, to go ahead and subscribe, like, and be a follower of our Twitch channel and YouTube channel as well. Joey, what's some sort of action they can see across all the Maconi Entertainment channels?
Lots of racing, lots and lots of racing. I know that we're closing out the 2023 Drivers Gauntlet right here tonight, and then I believe that we've got the American Canadian Tour going on tomorrow. Catch that at 8 p.m. Eastern right here on Maconi Entertainment, and then also have the Maconi E-Stock Car World Series. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say the Maconi. It's the E-Stock Car World Series on Maconi Entertainment. And that is Tuesday night. Catch all the action right here on 9 p.m. Eastern for that one. And Will, I know that you're with me on those E-Stock Car World Series nights. That's some pretty good racing for Tuesday night league stuff.
Oh, it has been a blast on those Tuesday nights, Joey. Those races fly by, but I think it just opens the door for a very frantic and crazy pace. We've seen some drivers that I'm familiar with. Barrett Paulhemus come in, Sam Brochu come in from other leagues. were now defunct, who didn't have a season this year, and those drivers needed somewhere to go. They found a place to go in the Stock Car World Series, and now the Parapolimus on top of the grid. We start to creep into those playoff races.
Yeah, always good to see the different group of drivers out there. And I actually want to give a shout out to Connor Berry. I think Connor Berry would have fit in very well here in the Drivers Gauntlet. And Connor's one of these off-road racers in real life and does a lot here on the sim, and primarily was an off-road racer, but has really opened it up to the oval community and has done a lot of good stuff with his various leagues, and would love to see Connor Berry maybe do some Drivers Gauntlet if Jeff Maconi has another one of these in the future. I think that he'd be a serious contender up front in all of these races.
Oh yeah, definitely, and I think this is a great showcase season, so to say, Joey. It's been a great season, but I think this is a good way to show other drivers of what this entails, of going through all this series, the money that's involved as well. If you win, say, a Legends race, or if you win a couple of those races down the stretch, you can really rake in some big money. Here tonight, $250. I know we've only mentioned that we've only got 4 cars left on the track, but that's 4 drivers that could walk away with just shy of $300 here tonight.
Well, I think if we're talking about money, I know that we got some ears out there, the number 68, that wants that money coming home that direction. So maybe if he's taking notes, there's some other leagues out there to go pay them bills for that number 68 car. And looks like 26 laps to go here, staying pretty consistent out front. Chris Willite continues to lead, and we're going to take one more opportunity to go ahead, turn up that volume. Let's listen to the sights and sounds of Daytona International Speedway. Well, and we've got 23 laps to go here. Chris Willite continues to lead the way, but really, it is all in the hands of the number 64, Joey Masevich. He's got everything to lose right now. He comes into today in the points lead, sits second place on the track currently, outscoring all of his championship contenders, and really, you got to think the 64 is in a very good position.
Yeah, very good position indeed, Joey Masevich in that 64 machine, and I know some folks watching at home are commenting on how many cars are left, and Joey, you kind of mentioned that to start off the broadcast here tonight. The drivers only had no fast repairs, so any kind of damage or anything that they occurred on the race cars here tonight essentially ended their nights. We had some drivers retire as well. There's some other drivers still on the racetrack, just not involved with this pack of drivers, Joey, but the next closest driver I'm looking at, timing and scoring right now, about 10 seconds off the pace.
Yeah, you're right. It looks like the front 4 here is where we've got the camera, and then 21 seconds back is Jacob Reeves, and he's got that second draft pack. But the other thing that I'm noticing is that we've only got 9 cars now on the lead lap, and I think that might officially rule out the championship for Brandon Evans. Now, if we get a yellow and we get a wave by or lucky dog, things could definitely change out there for the 39, but kind of the sun is setting on that championship hopes for the 39. He came in the 3rd place position, a little bit of a long shot to win this one, and not quite completely out of grasp, but slipping away every lap.
Yeah, you saw the race for Brandon Evans start to unravel just a little bit, started to have a little tiny problem here and there. It sent the 39 down the grid and just got reshuffled, and all this craziness that we're now seeing at the top of the grid where we have a 21-second gap between 4th and 5th place. Evans finds himself in that second pack, unfortunately, and Evans from the lead, 22 seconds removed from where he was to start off this race.
Yeah, 22 seconds back, and I'm also looking at the lap times of that second pack, and they are turning about a half a second slower than our lead pack here. So not only are they 21 seconds back, but they are continuing to lose time here to this pack of front 4. So I really do think it's going to be down to one of these 4 names here that's going to win this race, as long as it stays green flag running. Now, if we get a yellow flag, everything can be turned upside down. But the things we know for sure is that all of the cars on the racetrack have taken enough fuel to make it to the end of the race. So I don't think we'll be seeing any more pit stops unless they pick up damage on the race car.
No, Joey, I don't see any damage occurring on these race cars either. Right now, a single file lane down to 3 and 4. Watching, keep an eye out on these 4 drivers at the top of the grid. They have all but checked out from the rest of the field. I think we're running a parallel universe here, an interstellar type race here, where these top 4 drivers are seeing into the dimension where the rest of the field is 22 seconds behind these guys.
Yeah, and I think it's an interesting position because 22 seconds is a lot, right? You got a lot of time and you think, oh, okay, no big deal, nobody's going to catch me. But it also makes it more crucial than ever not to make a mistake, because if you make a mistake and spin one of these guys or lose touch with the draft back, then all of a sudden your opportunity for getting this race win kind of goes completely out the window. And all of a sudden, from 4 cars, it'll be 3, and just like that, check out Guillaume. No, just a little bit of a lift going into turn 3, and actually loses back almost 4/10 of a second back, and not enough to lose touch with the draft, but it's those little itty-bitty mistakes that can sometimes catch you out.
Yeah, so those little itty-bitty mistakes right there. As Guillaume still solid in the 4th position. Hurdle right there in 3rd. Joey Masevich in 2nd. 4 cars at the top of the grid, 17 laps to go off of 4 right now. We're going to make it 16 laps to go to crown a champion in the 2023 Drivers' Gauntlet.
Yeah, still 17 to go right now, but going to be coming up to 16 to go, like you were saying, and that means the mileage definitely put some miles on these cars so far, and I think we're seeing that. Check out the front end, looking out the back of Chris Willite to Joey Masevich, and you see how pitted up the front end of this race car is. Tons of rubber and dirt on the front end of that Ford Mustang. And I know back in the day, now the drivers all wear full face helmets and visors now, but back in the day of the old school helmets, you get all sorts of dirt and debris on them drivers' faces. It'd be kind of fun to see how dirty they'd climb out of the cars now.
Yeah, exactly. And right now, as we're watching these top 4 drivers go nose to tail right here on the backstretch, Joey, and I think we just watched a race. It was Auto Club, where they talked about the debris that would come off the surface of that racetrack. And unfortunately, instead of repaving it, they're just going to close that track completely. What a huge move from Hurdle in the 11.
That was pretty sketchy out of the 11. You saw him go up officially a lane on the racetrack. Guillaume took a look down low, and then all of a sudden, Hurdle just shoved it right down to the lower lane again. And thankfully, Guillaume did not have the nose down there, because that could have taken out 2 out of the 4 front runners here that we've been watching. And 15 laps to go now, so things are starting to dwindle down. Now, Will, I said about 10 laps to go, things will start getting more aggressive, but here comes Guillaume trying to make a move around the outside. Now, this is very dangerous because he could technically separate himself and hurdle from Joey Masevich and Chris Willite, and that's exactly what's happening.
Yeah, you're starting to see that separation already occur right now. Guillaume did not make the pass there, so all that effort, all that loss of energy, going to be for naught right now, as Guillaume Hino is going to fall right back behind the 11 or hurdle down into corner number 1 with 14 laps to go. Now these two have to try to link back up to find those top two at the top of the grid. Looks like they're doing that just now off of 2.
And for everybody wondering, why can't 5 cars catch 4 cars? Our second draft pack has 5 cars in it, including Jeff Maconi. And I've been watching them. They just are not organized like our leading front 4 are. I see Brandon Evans pushing Jacob Reeves, but behind him, Perry Vance is not hooked up. Jeff Maconi is not hooked up to Perry Vance. This is about as close as they've been the last 2 laps here. And you see, as soon as they get close, they get disconnected from each other. And that's why this group of 5 cars is not catching our lead pack.
No, and Joey, if you're a driver in this pack, is there anything you can do? Do you get on the radio of the 57 of Reeves and say, hey man, we're all trying to work together here? Or do you try to bust off of the top side lane, try to form your own line? Or what do you do in a driver in that second pack?
Well, it's really not Reeves and Evans. I think if it's going to make speed, it's going to come from the 85 and it's going to come from the 03. And the more the 85 is connected, that third car in line, then the 03 can be connected, and then they can start to make some progress. But it really falls on the shoulders of that third and fourth car in line, and just the 85 is not getting to the bumper of the 39. So just plain and simple, they're never going to make any ground.
As we watch this excellent shot of the camera work here on Maconi Entertainment, that is the lead pack. Passing a lap car on the inside here off of 2 as we're down the backstretch here with 12 laps to go. Things are starting to wind down here on Maconi Entertainment. Joe, we're going to crown a champion here with less than 12 laps.
Well, less than 12 laps to go here, and still continuing to be Chris Willite out front, pushed by the 64, pushed by the 11, and then the 68. Guillaume Hino with the fans out there watching, saying, Guillaume, bring home that $250 tonight. We need it for some pizza, because a pizza party is always the best way to celebrate a sim race win, isn't it?
That's exactly right. Like a Pizza Hut pizza party back in the day.
Now, speaking of Pizza Hut pizza parties, I actually saw recently on social media there's still a Pizza Hut out there that does the full buffet style with the dessert pizzas.
No, I need to know, Joey. I'm on the plane right now. I need to know.
Well, we'll have to keep an eye on the GPS locations for that Pizza Hut, the actual hut out there. Because remember, they all used to have the red roofs as well, but to not get too distracted, we're working 10 laps to go. I didn't think I'd see the day, but sure enough, less than 10 laps to go here at the 2023 Drivers Gauntlet on Maconi Entertainment.
Yeah, things are winding down right now. Been a long race for sure. We want to thank all the fans for sticking with us here on Maconi Entertainment. This action, I would say, has gotten a little calm than what we saw here at the beginning of this race. About a 20-car field take this great racetrack of Daytona, now winding it down to about 9 cars left. 4 cars left in this battle up here with about a 25-second gap between 4th and 5th. With 10 laps to go, though, Joey, we have a lot to decide right now. A race winner and a championship winner down to 1.
And unfortunately, Brandon Evans' day went from bad to worse at lap 190 coming off of turn 2. I mentioned the 85 wasn't very much hooked up, and as soon as the 85 started to try to get more aggressive on the pushes, he was pushing through the turns and just got hooked up at the bad spot with the 39 and almost turned Brandon Evans down into the inside wall. But now it looks like it's Reeves being pushed by Maconi now in that second pack, trying to make up the ground, but The race is still on, 9 laps to go. Chris Willite in that familiar purple number 7 being pushed by Joey Masevich. And actually in front of these cars right now, we're going to be coming up to a few lapped cars. That's Mark McNutt, Jordan Person, and Dakota Bruff. All 3 of them right in front of this lead pack.
Yeah, right now, lapped cars in the mix. We have somebody sideways on the backstretch. See if that brings out a caution. I don't think so, Joey. That's going to be a single car incident. No effect of traffic down the backstretch. Boy, would that have been big for the rest of the field.
Yeah, that was Dakota Bruff coming off of turn number 2, and gonna see exactly what happened. He just lost it all on his own here. Gonna get this replay. It was actually a big tank slapper. He got it loose coming off of turn 2. And then you see it just wiggle back and forth here on the apron.
A little wiggle action off of 2 right there. You just have a little Tokyo drift. Hard impact, though. The inside retaining wall down the backstretch.
Yeah, and he just spun again going into turn 3. Was actually up on the racetrack and thankfully didn't collect anybody. Good job on Brandon Davis making sure the racetrack was clean, as there was definitely some cars up to speed there. But Dakota Bruff, our latest to fall victim to the attrition, and 1 more bottle of beer gone. 7 laps of racing left. Looks like the 64 is starting to get a little bit more aggressive with the pushing going on to Chris Willite.
That officially leaves 9 cars on the lead lap here tonight, bookended by Jeffrey Maconi in that 03 machine. We're at the sail. As we just saw contact at the top of this grid right up here, Joey. Oh my God, things just got very tight up here in the broadcast booth.
Yeah, it looks like we got a couple new players here. Some lapped cars have joined the mix, but it's mainly Jason Hurdle that keeps moving out of line, and there he does it again. This is the, he's done this a few times that he opens the door. Guillaume takes a look down the inside, and Hurdle tries to close it. And thankfully, he did not go down to the yellow lane, but that allowed Guillaume Hainaut up into the 3rd place position now. Shuffles Jason Hurdle back to 4th, and now the draft games are going to start to become more and more here at Daytona.
Yes, things are starting to get a little bit more interesting here, Joey. You watch a first movie in the series, say, that was okay. You watch a second, and then you're hooked. Still remember what happened in the John Wick series right off of corner number 2 right now. Willite leading the way in the 7. Things are heating up. We're looking at John Wick number 3 down to corner number 3.
And something else I want to say, shout out to, looks like Jake Byron out there. Greetings from Brazil. Always nice to have global viewers out there. I'm always interested to see who is watching these races. We always get to know who's racing in the races based off of the entry list, but always good to have fans from all over the place watching. And what a great time to be tuning in, because right now, less than 5 laps, 4 laps to go to decide a champion here at the Drivers' Gauntlet. It really is in the hands of the 64 of Joey Masevich, who currently sits 2nd place on the racetrack, comes in with our points lead, and he is looking the best right now.
Yeah, but as things are getting a little bit more caliente, mucho caliente, a little bit more spicy on the racetrack, down into corner number 3, Willite leading the way in the 7. The 64, Joey Masevich is right there. Guillaume Hainaut in the 68, as Hurdle in the 11's in the mix. As Joey, as we know, Joey Masevich has a chance at a championship. The rest of the drivers have a chance at $250 with 3 to go. Throw up those 3s. Rest in peace to Dale Earnhardt, because we have 3 laps to go in the 2023 Drivers' Gauntlet.
Hold them up in the air, ladies and gentlemen. I got mine up. Hold up that 3 for Dale, as Chris Willite works 3 laps to go right now. Joey Masevich still in that 2nd place. Guillaume Hainaut 3rd place now. If I'm the number 68, it's all about timing this run right now. You see him kind of hanging back a little bit. I think this is too early to be showing your cards right now. You need to make this run more with 1 lap to go coming to the white flag, or even off of turn 4 on the final lap to try to get that head of steam to try to win this thing. But I believe that's going to be the strategy call, is Guillaume's probably going to hang back just a little bit, try to get the momentum on these front 2.
Yeah, Guillaume and Hurdle having their own battle behind the leaders right now. that's just going to bode well for Joey Masevich in the 64 machine as we come off of corner number 2 right now with 2 laps to go. Hurdle is trying to push Guillaume along down the backstretch, see if they can build up a run right now down to corner number 3 with 2 laps to go. Willite will take us down into what it will be just a few more corners to go tonight. Willite in the 7 takes us off of 4.
And here comes Jason Hurdle. He's starting to try to show his cards a little bit. He showed up top there in 3 and 4, trying to get the momentum. And now here comes Guillaume with a big run, big block from Masevich down low, and it actually opens the door. Now we've got contact between the front 3. It's going to be Joey Masevich's race to lose as we've got more.
Oh, wow.
Cannot hang on to it. And really, this is a parade lap for the 64.
Wow, Joey.
Masevich comes in with the points lead, was able to maintain through the race, and check this out. Now doesn't have any competitors even within 7.5 seconds. Got to look all the way back there to Chris Willite in the number 7 car that has ran such a fantastic race. And it is all the 64 as he comes down. He sees the checkered flag. Your 2023 Drivers Gauntlet champion, Joey Masevich.
In what can be construed as a loss of words, Joey Masevich completes the double dip here tonight. He wins the race and wins the championship in the 2023 Drivers Gauntlet here at Maconi Entertainment. Comes home with $250 in his pocket and bragging rights across all series of NASCAR builds. He completes this gauntlet as the overall champion.
And I see Brandon Evans comes home in 5th place and Jeff Maconi 7th. I don't think that's enough to flip-flop them around, so I believe that the top 3 in points that came in today will finish that same way. Joey Masevich, your points champion, Jeff Maconi 2nd place, and Brandon Evans in 3rd. And we're going to get the sweet, sweet smell of donuts as Joey Masevich burns it down. A+ burnout, if I do say so myself. I don't think Masevich is quite done yet, but he's going to park it there on start finish, collect that checkered flag, and we're going to take a quick break. Be right back with the official results and post-race interviews.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need: Maconi.
With the launch of Maconi Entertainment and Maconi Competizone alongside Maconi Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MaconiSetupShop.com/subscriptions.
There is a reason that Maconi Setup Shop is partnered with more real-world tracks and companies, including Junior Motorsports, than any other group on the iRacing service.
And remember, at Maconi Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Joey Masevich, your race winner, $250 richer after crossing the start-finish line here at Daytona for the Drivers Gauntlet. Number 64 collecting that checkered flag. Chris Willite in the number 7 comes home in the 2nd place position. Kind of the story of the number 7's race was out front all race, but comes home 2nd. Jason Hurdle there 3rd. Guillaume Hainaut 4th. Brandon Evans comes home 5th. Jacob Reeves 6th. Jeff Maconi, Kyle Wisner, Harry Vance, and Jordan Person. Your first car not on the lead lap, but still in the top 10.
Yeah, picking up in the 11th position, we had Carson Lucas in that 10. In the 12th, we had the 60th Mark McNutt. In the 13th position, we have Dakota. We learned how to say it now there, Joey. How do we say it?
Bruff.
Bruff. There we go. The Dakota Bruff in that 52 machine finishes 13th. 14th would be Eric Newman in that 21. 15th, that 4 of Tanner Marr. 16th would be the 12, that's Samuel Lawson. 17th would be Garrett Crow in that 38. 18th will be Jason Allen at 71. 19th will be Kevin Carlisle in that 72. And our top 20 will be bookended by Brian Zinnerman in that 28 machine. And then rounding out our official results here tonight will be Eric Sellers in that 21.
Yeah, and that's going to do all of the fields here, but looks like we've already got our race winner. Not only our race winner, but $250 richer race winner, and also the 2023 Drivers Gauntlet champion. Congratulations, Joey Masevich.
Oh, man. Thank you. It's so great to be here. Man, this has been a fun season. It's been a fun little championship that Jeff put together. Great point structure, great setups on all the tracks. And it's crazy to pull it off right at the end here and snag the championship. Wow. Gotta thank Maconi Setup Shop, Maconi Entertainment, a Bruzy Racewear, Sim Racer Movie. I think those are my guys.
Well, now, Joey, talk to us a little bit just about today's race as a whole, because started off pretty clean, but then it got pretty choppy in the middle, and not only choppy in the middle, but you had a pretty big scare at one point. I think you were up in the wall with the rest of the leaders.
Yeah, so I went into this race thinking I'll do what I do on a typical C Open and just kind of hang out in the back, hang within draft's reach, but no closer, and wait for the race to happen around me. And that plan went out the window on like lap 3 when we saw the top 3 linked up and starting to gap the field. So me and Jeff decided we gotta go, can't be part of the second group. Ran away with them. That incident, what was it, lap 98? I saw my race flash before my eyes there, and luckily enough, I just bounced off of somebody's door glancingly and didn't hit anything else as they were spinning around me. It was crazy.
Well, and that was definitely one of the variables that you had to shake off today. And talk to us about the green flag pit stops, because you were on top of your game all day today. You didn't lose any spots whatsoever in the green flag pit stops. And I actually think that's kind of what separated the race today, because you saw even your buddy Jeff Maconi got lost in the last green flag pit stop.
Yeah, green flag stops are something I really pride myself in. I have the approach of going at 90%, but a 90% I know I can hit. I know I messed it up that one. It might have been a yellow flag stop, overshooting my box a bit. But when it really matters, getting what I can and being satisfied with that usually puts me ahead of people who reach just a little bit further than they can consistently achieve.
Well, it definitely, I was going to say it worked out in your favor, and you executed it very, very well out there on the racetrack. So whatever you're doing, Joey, keep it up. And last thing I want to ask you, I know you already kind of rattled off a few people, but this is your chance to say hi to anybody. You want to thank anybody other than your sponsors or anybody watching you at home?
I might have a coworker or two watching. Reed, if you're there, hello. I think my family got the link, so hi to you guys. Jeff's definitely got this tuned in. Thanks for putting me in this car and setting all this up to give me this payout.
Well, Joey, we love seeing you here on all of these Drivers Gauntlet and Maconi Entertainment broadcasts. And I know that we'll see you at future events. And once again, congratulations on not only the win, but being the Drivers Champion of the Gauntlet.
Yeah.
Woo! Well, that was Joey Masevich, and I believe that we've got one more interview that's going to be joining us, and Will Tiller standing by with Jeff Maconi.
Yeah, we are joined by the boss man himself, Jeff Maconi. Jeff, we just completed the 2023 Drivers Gauntlet here. We crowned a champion of Joey Masevich in that 64. What are your thoughts of what we would like to say is a successful run here, our first run at a Drivers Gauntlet?
The series as a whole was awesome. I mean, we had 60 different drivers all competing. We had 12 people who could have mathematically won it tonight. From a promoter standpoint, it was awesome. We gave out over $800 or about $800. Joey's gonna get it's like a 3-foot tall trophy. It's a huge trophy, a custom die cast of whatever car he wants. But I don't know. I'm mad at myself. I made a lot of stupid mistakes tonight. I don't know. Going into turn 1 on that last restart or on that last pit stop. I mean, I was checking my fuel and tires and everything, and I just drifted up the track, and then the 11 got to my inside, and that killed all my momentum, and I drove it like all I could on pit entry without speeding and didn't speed, and then I just caught some bad RNG from iRacing with a longer pit stop and didn't carry the speed I needed to on exit, and it was just heartbreaking watching the 4 of them pull away. Just like it was soul crushing, and I knew on lap 166 I was like, he's won it. And I'm on the one hand, I'm happy for him. He's one of my best friends, and I'm happy that if it wasn't me, it was him. But at the same time, I was still heartbroken that I failed to execute. It was entirely on me, and I was on stream, and I was like, oh, it was the 11. Oh, it was this, it was that, and at the end, I was like, it's my own fault. You know, I didn't perform. But yeah, I'm really happy for Joey. He's gonna do a lot with $250 and giant trophy and a die cast and everything else. If it wasn't me, I'm glad it was him. But that was quite the race and quite the series. I don't know what I'm gonna do with my Saturday nights now. Now we're probably gonna go back to Fast Fridays and kick those off again.
That's right, Jeff, and what a very successful season was. And sounds like you're getting a lot of great feedback as well. Did you want to break any news here about possibly a season 2 of a Driver's Gauntlet, or are we just keeping it on the down low for now?
Well, this was drawn up and designed as an annual thing. So there's the 2023 Driver's Gauntlet. We're going to have a 2024, so on and so forth. So next year it's going to be the same format, probably the same tracks. I think we'll probably change up the trucks and Xfinity. Put the trucks on a road course at Mid-Ohio and put the Xfinity cars. I don't know. Maybe we can't take those on dirt, so we'll probably keep the trucks on dirt. Maybe take the Xfinity cars to Watkins Glen or something. But yeah, we'll be back again in 2024. Joey's got free entry. He's had free entry into events since the Movember race because I won it. I already know I'm going to enter and everything, and I still pay the bills. So he got the free entry for a year on that. So now he gets another free year. He'll be good through the 2024 Gauntlet, which will probably kick off in December or early January with a similar schedule to this year.
Well, there you go, folks. Watch out for that news for the 2024 Drivers Gauntlet here on Maconi Entertainment. And Jeff, before we let you go, my man, that wraps up the Saturday night broadcast here on Maconi Entertainment. What other action can folks keep up with or see in the future here on Maconi Entertainment? I know Joey was talking about some huge events that are coming up here soon.
Yeah, we've got a lot of really cool things. Maconi Entertainment launched in September of last year, and it's been a whole lot more fun and a lot more successful than even I envisioned, and I had high hopes for it. So I'm very excited about all the things we get to do. We have the American Canadian Tour tomorrow night from Stafford, which I love Stafford. It's the super late models. I may see if I can weasel my way into that event. We have the eStock Car World Series on Tuesday from Pocono. Then we have Road to Pro from Atlanta. The Procast there, which is a very cool program and series we get to do. So that's going to be with Malik Ray and Jordy Lopez, I believe, are doing Thursday night show. So be sure to tune into that. And I'm probably going to take a week off from planning events, but maybe we'll do a Fast Fridays on the 17th and the 24th and get that series rolling again. And I've got a project that's been in the works since July of last year that I really, really want to get done, really want to make it happen. We just got to put a little bit more funding together for it, and I'll be happy and ready to launch with it. But that'll be really cool. And the only time off that will have is for the Drivers Gauntlet. And so yeah, stay tuned to all of that stuff. But it was an awesome race tonight. I'm heartbroken for myself, and I'll go feel sad for myself somewhere else. And I'm happy for Joey, and took the Maconi Setup Shop, Maconi Entertainment, Maconi Competitive Zone, Abruzzi Racewear, the Sim Racer movie. I forgot them earlier, Brock. I'm really sorry, but you can check that out on Amazon and rent the movie there and check it out. It's a great movie. I got to make a cameo in it, which was a lot of fun. Well, not even really a cameo, played a whole role in it, which was a lot of fun. Ron the Snack Guy, WSMN Broadcasting, Victory Sim, everyone that makes this possible. I mean, I guess at the end of it, feeling as bummed out as I do for not winning it, the fact that I get to even compete for all of this is something that I try not to take for granted. So it was a lot of fun. Thank you guys for streaming it, and it was a great event, and I'm excited for all the future things we got going on here.
Well, there we go, folks. The boss man himself, Jeffrey Maconi, here at Maconi Entertainment. He just rattled off all those businesses you can go and follow, like, and keep up to date to all the action that happens here at Maconi Entertainment. But I believe, Joey, we're going to squeeze in one more interview here in the 2023 Drivers Gauntlet. And you're catching up with a man who's leaving tonight a little heartbroken. That's Brandon Evans.
Yeah, Brandon, I wish I was talking to you on some better terms right now, but what did you think about the Drivers Gauntlet as a whole, especially being a championship contender coming into the final round? Uh-oh. Brandon, do we have you? See if he's got to get his... I know that Discord can be a little wonky sometimes on the voice and video settings, and sometimes I've got to manually re-click mine as well, and see if we can get Brandon in here for one interview, because I know that he was up front pretty much all night here. See if we can get him one more shot in here. And he came in third place in the points championship and leaves third place. Brandon, you here with us?
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we got you loud and clear. And like I said, it's not necessarily the terms that you wished to be speaking to us on, but talk to us about the Drivers Gauntlet as a whole, and what did you think about it?
Yeah, it's been a fun event to do something that's going, as a race progression from the Legends cars all the way through the next gen was really a cool experience. I'm definitely more of a next gen. That's primarily what I like to drive. I dabble in some of the trucks and periodically the Xfinity as well. Definitely not a short tracker. So that first 3 races was going to be a heavy lift for me. And I knew that some of those races, I was like, I just got to get points. I don't know if I can win these things. I'll try, but definitely just need to keep making laps. I mean, I think the Legends race didn't go very well for me this season, and then I got wrecked out of the Bristol race as well. But I still tried to fix damage and hop back out on the racetrack and just try to get as many points and try to make it. I was happy to be sitting in P3 coming into this race. I knew that Joey and Jeff were going to be fast and working together, so I was like, well, either they're going to have to wreck and I'm going to have to win, or I'm out. So, but yeah, the entire experience has been awesome.
Well, and talk to us a little bit about, I noticed something on your onboard cameras, and why don't you ever wear your headset? I always notice it around your neck, but you never got the headset on.
Yes. So I have external speakers on my rig too. So when my fiance is here with me, I typically talk on Discord to my spotter or whoever I'm in chat with. And then I use the external speakers for all of my audio. So I just use my microphone off the headset.
Gotcha. Well, I know that we're closing out the show, and before I want to let you go, is there anybody that you want to say hi to or give a shout out to?
Sure. Thanks to Jeff and Maconi Setup Shop. Thanks to Lockdown Racing, Ugiri Ramen Project, and CrossFit Catawba Valley as my sponsors. I appreciate my family sticking by and watching all the races. So shout out to mom and dad and to my Nana and Papa. So I appreciate everybody tuning in to watch and support. And I look forward to being a part of it next year.
Awesome. Well, that was Brandon Evans coming home 5th today, but 3rd in the points championship of the 2023 Drivers Gauntlet. And that's going to wrap up the broadcast today. We want to thank tonight's race sponsor, Maconi Setup Shop, as well as our broadcast partner, Maconi Competizone. Calling the action tonight myself was Joey Atterbury alongside Will Tiller in the booth and Ryan Bauer producing. Thank you for tuning in as we watched and crowned Joey Masevich as the 2023 Drivers Gauntlet champion. This inaugural series will be returning again for 2024, so be ready, sign up, and compete with the best of the best to try to bring home the title yourself. As always, we would like to thank all of our viewers for tuning in to tonight's racing action. And a special shout out, of course, goes to the entire staff and working for bringing this racing action to you. Be sure to stay tuned to all of our social media pages, and we hope to see you at our next event. This has been a production of Maconi Entertainment, and we wish you all a good night.